muted. Okay. Welcome. My name is Katz. Hi, I'm joined by Kelas. I think they could hear you. Maybe they couldn't hear you actually. But yeah, the sum of it is that we are jumping into the games very shortly here. Thank you very much for the heads up there. Whoever let us know that that I was muted. And
Yeah, it
we
was
are gonna
me.
be nice, Diego. And we'll really? And we'll be
No,
jumping
I'm just kidding.
into Clem versus Cure, and this one is for Clem's live, is what we were saying. Whereas Cure doesn't have a lot of pressure.
Yeah, we were talking about how Clem absolutely needs this win in order to stay in the group. If he loses here, he is eliminated. However, Kier, on the other hand, he's not playing for no pressure at all. I mean, he still gets $1,000 for each position that he climbs in the group. Plus, he can also get $300 for a best of three series win in the group stage. So he's definitely not playing for chump change here.
For sure not. And yeah, on the other side, Clem, I mean, he wants to obviously advance from the groups. He's in a kind of a tricky position here, but if he beats Cure, is he through, Diego?
If Clem beats Cure here, let me double check the bracket just to make sure, but I believe there's an interaction here with Oliveira, who is also 2-2 with plus 2 points. But he would absolutely need Oliveira to lose 0-2 to Ragnarok. So that needs to happen.
That needs to happen for Clem to advance?
Yeah, I mean, Oliveira needs to lose. It can be 2-1 or 2-0, but I believe Oliveira needs to lose, yes.
And Clem needs to win. So if Clem wins and Oliveira loses, then Clem is through. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And otherwise, Clem is out. I see, because of the map score. If Oliveira wins, there's no way Clem can catch him. Dark
Indeed.
is, you could tie with Dark, but Clem lost the head-to-head. So if Dark went 0-2 against Neep and Clem went 2-0, they would be technically tied, but the head-to-head would favor Dark. So that's a no-go. So yeah, the only route for Clem is Oliveira losing to Ragnarok. Even if he loses if he loses at any score, Clem should be through. So that is the hope for Clem here. Ragnarok, of course, a very capable player, but so is Oliveira, as he has shown throughout this group.
Yeah, I mean, they've been very consistently kicking ass throughout the whole year. I mean, Oliveira actually did have a bit of a slump at Atlanta, going out 0-6, completely unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
But back in this tournament, once again, 2-2 in this group is really nothing to scoff at. These guys have been playing pretty well. Honestly, looking at this group before it started, I was kind of worried for my boy Clem. He did boot camp with me and at the Team Liquid office prior to this tournament. But he was looking pretty good, but I was still worried for him. But I'm glad to see he still has a chance. I mean, there's so many.
Spill some beans here.
No beans to spill. I mean, Oliveira, he's just so powerful in TVT. Sometimes I practice with him, and it's just incredibly difficult to take him down. And you watch him take down all these Korean Terrans in online tournaments all the time. Then you have Dark.
And Clem was a little bit easier to take down in the bootcamp?
No. I don't think so. I think I took one map off of him every 5 maps, so...
Okay.
I wouldn't count that as easy.
All right. Clem was having some sound issues, but they're now mostly resolved, so we should be starting very soon here. And yeah, who would you favor then, your teammate or the Korean powerhouse with 12 years experience?
I would favor Clem here right now. Cure, of course, was a powerful Terran last year.
Whoa.
But
you're retiring
now
like everyone. Like yesterday you retired Cyril, now Cure. It used to be.
Yeah, indeed. So these players definitely struggling here. I mean, Cure I'm just saying, Cure is not the powerhouse that he used to be.
Okay, that's fair. So, yeah. Cure. I mean, is Clem the powerhouse that he has been for the last 4 years or so?
I think so. I mean, he won the, what do you call it, the DH5L, the five DreamHack titles in Europe.
Yeah, that's very true. He mostly has to big Sergo position there, I guess. Hero Marine, of course, in the mix, but yeah, he did do that, and yeah, we'll see if he can translate that into somewhat of a international success, because yeah, I mean, getting out of the groups would be awesome for him. As you could hear, the game is now loading, so we're gonna switch screens over to StarCraft. The games are about to begin, and the place will be Grazvan.
Grazvan. Load it up. And on the top left corner of Grazvan, we have playing for Team Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Cure.
And in the bottom right hand side, it is for Team Liquid, Clem, also known as Clement de Planche. Clement de Planche.
He's just a cool kid in general. I think he's so sweet. Like you never see him lash out at people or be rude to people or anything like that. And just all around nice guy to be around with. So very cool.
Yeah, he is very cool. He sounds just nice, you know, and everything that he says is just like nice and like you said, like it's heartwarming almost, right? It's like he's so enthusiastic about everything, and like he always like uses extra pleases and thank yous, and you know, like he's very appreciative. Yeah, he's great.
Definitely well mannered for sure. But on the other hand, in StarCraft, he is completely aggressive, and sometimes he just makes me mauled with those Reapers and Hellions poking at my front.
No, yeah, his playstyle is his dark side.
That's where he lets it all out. Maybe that's the secret, you know. You just need an escape, and his escape is just dropping people to death and crushing them, crushing their souls. Very brutal stuff. And already seeing an interesting variation here in the builds. Cure going for Reactor first, which is gonna get scouted.
This looks a little bit like my TVT build, Diego. What do you think it's gonna translate into? It's a weird one.
Yeah, usually you do this when you want to make several Reapers and Hellions and try to go for some kind of harass. But maybe now that it gets scouted, you might want to react as Cure here, because Clem knows there's the possibility of being that many Reapers and Hellions, so he can react by getting a really fast Cyclone, for example. I wouldn't be surprised if Clem skips completely Hellions and just goes straight into a Cyclone.
Okay, crazily enough, Cure was keeping 3 on gas for a little bit longer than I would have expected. I was keeping tabs on that, and then just recently he took 1 of each gas. So does that give you any indicator as to what he wants to do? Like, he kept them past dropping the factory.
Yeah, so if you play Reactor first, you need a bit more gas in order to afford the Reapers. Okay. So what I do is you can take 1 SCV off the gas after you start your factory, and then you will have exactly 100 gas for the Reapers when the Reactor finishes.
Very nice.
And there's that fast Cyclone that I was talking about, of course. He can afford to do that because he has no Reapers to be afraid of in the early game. And that's actually going to pay off quite well, because Cyclones, once they're out, are actually so powerful in straight-up fights.
Yeah, they're very powerful in the early game. Very few units. You see a unit, you lock onto it, you kill it, and that's it. It's just a really good trade. So Cyclones are one of the best head-to-head units. Let's see if it pays off here, as the Reapers are going to be out of position for Clem, or is Cure out of position for Clem's Reapers is the question.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be that way, because Clem already has a Cyclone in his main, and he has a second one coming out, so he's not afraid of dying to anything just yet. But Cure, somehow sensing that maybe something is off, keeping his units on his side of the map, or maybe he was just regrouping with his reinforcements to go with this large number of Reapers and Hellions, which actually can be very scary. Even against 2 Cyclones, if Clem doesn't react quick enough, he could end up losing the fight.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to remove 2 of these units, but there is so many of them. Like I was saying, Cyclones in a 1v1 fight, they're very good, but this is no 1v1. This is a 1v many or a 2v many at this point. The Cyclones are kind of in a little bit of trouble. They're great micro from Cure to swing back the Hellions that were getting targeted. 1 Cyclone is going to fall, as Cure is going to dive on top of it. Luckily for Clem, the 2 Marines are going to offer him some shelter, and on the other side, the Reapers tried to make something happen, but with not too much avail.
Yeah, he only kills 1 SCV on the other side, so Cure kind of evening up the SCV count. Of course, your CC is a little bit late with the reactor first build, so the ball is kind of on your core to do some kind of damage, and he absolutely did. It was very well done by him.
Absolutely did, yeah.
He actually managed to keep a lot of these Reapers and Hellions alive, which is going to make this push even stronger. He can combine with an auto turret or maybe even Matrix this Cyclone. Wait.
There's like no
Clem didn't make a tank.
Yeah,
Did
it's on
he?
the other side.
Oh, yeah. This is actually kind of scary because Cure already has a tank in his main and he has a Raven. But on the other hand, I don't know if Clem can hold this.
It looks very, very scary indeed. There's a Cyclone for Cure as well. Luckily for Clem, it locks onto one of the SCVs. Turret versus turret. The turret of Clem is not going to be long for this world. The turret for Cure tanking a little bit more, or well, tanking the same amount of damage, but from less damage output on the side of Clem. And Clem in a lot of trouble to start this game, even having to use the lock-on onto the turret. Now he's back with the tank and the medevac, so he will be able to push Cure back eventually, but not before losing 14 SCVs, saving the remaining 4 in that medevac there.
Yeah, I mean, he does manage to clean up this army, so he might have a little bit of an army advantage, but the damage is just so brutal and absolutely not worth it for him. The only saving grace I would say there is for Clem is that his third base is slightly faster than Cure's, so maybe he can try to catch up in mules and an SCV count, but I'm not sure. This looks so hard to come back from as Clem.
Yeah, and yeah, one Raven went down, but there's 3 more already on the side of Cure with, or actually the Raven didn't even go down, so there's 3 on the side of Cure here, 2 with a decent amount of energy. And it's not like Cure is far behind in terms of like the third CC. I mean, he is technically behind, but it's coming too, right? So yeah, Cure with all the edges here on the back of Clem being aggressive without really knowing what was out on the map, I suppose, right? Like gets caught off guard twice. If those 2 Reapers were at his base for the first push, I think he would have been fine. They didn't really accomplish much on the other side, which is kind of uncharacteristic of Clem as well, as he is one of the best multitasking players in the world. And then and then the follow-up attack also, Diego, it felt like if the tank and the Marines and the medevac are back at home, he would be fine, or at least take a lot less damage, right? So
yeah, it was just an unfortunate drop in general. It didn't end up doing anything on the other side and just hampered his defense.
I do appreciate this drop, though the tank has actually been moved from Cure, so this drop is looking pretty scary on the side of Clem. Of course, there's the Ravens to disable the tanks. That is the scary part, but turrets are going to try to buy time on the side of Clem as well. Maybe taking down one of those tanks. No, it barely survives, as the turrets of Cure are a little bit too much. Those Marines are going to focus over the Raven, and the tank is unable to be saved as the medevacs attempt at it. 14 workers do go down in this process, but Clem is the one that's going to be losing his army this time around.
Indeed, and he does catch up in the economic advantage again, but he still needs to be careful. I mean, if he throws away too many tanks, he's just opening himself up for a counterattack. So maybe sieging this tank right here was not the best move.
Yeah, at the same time, I mean, I'm with you. I'm on the same page there. I feel like the move for Cure moving forward was to unsiege the tanks in the back and go, but instead he sieges the tanks at the front. And yeah, I mean, if you're a Clem fan, you can breathe for a little bit here, as he's gonna have an opportunity to catch up economically, and I'm very surprised that Cure is not trying to do something right now.
Yeah, I think he, after repairing all his units, he feels ready. I mean, he still has the air control, and Clem still not starting his engineering base, which frankly is not going to factor into this fight or any fights anytime soon, but still doesn't bode well for him in the future. But now is what he needs to be worried about.
Okay, well, one of the tanks, the only tank at the front, is going to be disabled. 2 more on the way here for Clem, but the SCVs are going to have to be pulled off the line. There's not that many Marines, so it makes a little bit of sense here, but now Marines arrive in the back, and that means those SCVs are going to melt without doing much splash damage. That might be lights out here on game 1 for Clem, as Cure has breached. He is sitting on top of the third, and Clem has to tap out.
Yeah, I mean, I think initially the drop went well. Sure, he traded 3 tanks for a lot of SCVs there. But then he ended up losing another tank when he dropped at the third and sieged it. And I think that just meant he didn't have enough tanks to defend. Maybe if he had an extra tank there, maybe not so further back. Like those 2 tanks weren't even fighting through the push. So just an unfortunate game in general for Clem.
Yeah, I have to imagine one of those tanks was being pulled from the natural or something, and the other one just spawned or something, right? Because they just weren't there, like they weren't sieged at the front, like you said.
Yep.
So.
You also have to keep in mind the amount of time that Cure had the worker advantage. I mean, he just had a lot of time to add his barracks and get extra production going, and even starting his engineering base much earlier. The killing 14 workers at the start for Cure and not losing anything to the tank drop was just brutal.
Yeah, I mean that one tank for Marines without Slimmer Combat Shield drop was just so underwhelming on the side of Clem. It didn't feel like it was the stage of the game to try something like that, but I guess he had a medevac, wanted to apply some counter pressure, felt like he was already behind, and yeah, Cure not really giving him the time to breathe. And yeah, I agree with you. The drop was really nice from Clem. I think it was great, right? Like the tanks do get disabled, but they do their damage and they spend that Raven energy. And then the follow-up, I also liked it, to be honest. It's just unfortunate, right? Like if that drop in the main buys a little bit more time, then the tank and the Marines at the third stand a chance to do a little bit more damage. And it's just such a quick 1-2 punch that I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, it ends up being a donation of 1 tank instead.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to be done differently here on the second game in Royal Blood. It is an extremely short map, so Cure once again has the opportunity to be extra aggressive, but Clem might change things up and maybe go for some kind of aggression himself. We're loading up.
We're loading up. So here we are going to be on Royal Blood. Leading the series is Cure. And yeah, here we are, spawning in the top right hand side of the map. It is for Team Liquid, Clem.
And on the bottom left, up 1-0, fighting for some extra money in this tournament and maybe helping out his teammate Dark. It is Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure. I guess it's another extra incentive, right? I mean, helping out his teammate.
Dark is safe though.
Completely?
I think so,
like,
right? Like
maybe this could help him get first? No, wait. Clem cannot get first.
Yeah. Dark is good, I think. I don't think this changes much for Dark, but I could be wrong.
Oh, this is actually weird. There's a gas first here.
That
One
is
gas.
So what does that indicate? Is it a factory first? Marine opening or?
No, it's usually Reaper expand, and then you can either make the CC in your main, or you can kind of gamble and make it in your natural and get like really fast Hellions, for example. Like you could go 1 Reaper, Reactor, Hellions, and you could even follow it up later on with like some kind of Hellion Marauder drop. That one's actually not too uncommon in this matchup.
Okay. So I mean, it's just the alternative avenue, I guess. This was used a long time ago, a little bit more gas first instead of double gas. Then people started going double gas instead if they want the fast factory, right? So, yeah, I mean, what is the advantage of doing it this way? Why does it follow up with an expansion? Just because of the lesser investment into the second gas?
Yeah, so if you're on 1 gas, you just have that surplus of minerals, especially if you went gas first. You're not really producing that many units out of the barracks. And I think the best, at least my favorite advantage of going this build is that you don't really make a bunker, which is what you have to do if you play, for example, barracks gas, because then you have 1 Reaper, 1 Marine to defend against 2 Reapers.
Okay, Reaper's gonna be out in time. As you can see, Clem's Reaper is already way out on the map because he didn't make a gas first, and that actually delays your Reaper, as it, you know, the gas costs minerals. In fact, or the barracks cost minerals, and that is kind of the gating resource for the first Reaper. But here we'll just choose to stay back with the Reaper, of course, and we'll be fine for it. Helion's now about to start producing, and yeah, starboard as well. So Helion drop a possibility, or do you just run them in? What's the plan with these?
Helion drop is more of a possibility when the starport is proxied, but I don't fault him for just making it in his main right here, and maybe going into like even
Ooh.
Viking first would be extremely safe. So I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to do
This
so.
is cool. Do you think Clem has a read on this? Because he proxied a Liberator. He's proxying a Liberator, and this is a really cool maneuver against this, because if he got the same read that you got from, you know, from whatever information he extracted, then I have to imagine a Liberator's amazing here, right? Because there's not going to be a Cyclone out.
Yeah, and this is gonna actually work out great. There's no Cyclone, no Marine, and no Viking coming out. I mean, you know how long it takes for a Liberator to kill another Liberator. He'll have a very difficult time cleaning up the Sieged Liberator in his main, while the rest of Clem's units kind of wreak havoc in the naturals. So I think there's a lot of potential for Clem here.
All right, let's see if he can materialize it. As Ragnarok, just for anyone that's you know, like I don't know. Someone complained about spoilers once, but you're watching the tournament, so I imagine you're following most streams. Ragnarok just took game 1 against Oliveira, very relevant to the outcome of Clem, should he want to stay in the tournament. And yeah, big chase here.
Not a great start to the fight for Clem. I think he ended up getting a lot of splash damage done on the Reapers, and losing 2 like that means he might have a lot of pressure coming into his CC.
Yeah, this Marine flank is actually excellent. Soaks up so many shots from those Hellions. It kind of diverts their attention and makes it so that the AoE doesn't do as much as Cure would have liked. And this is a great position now for Clem, who withholds the attack. For a second there, I thought he's just trying to... I was like, why is he holding on the low ground? He was just trying to hold to make sure that his CC finished. But he gets a lot more than that, right? Like those 2 Marines on the flank, so very cool.
Yeah, that was really impressive. Very well done by him, as he gets a medevac afterwards. Maybe to try and pressure a little bit in the front, use the extra power of the added healing, and maybe pick up the locked on unit versus the Cyclone. But Cure does spot this starport while it's making the Raven, so he knows what's up. I mean, he already knew that the starport was proxy just by the timing of the Liberator. But now it's good to know where it was.
Turret gonna be dropped in Clem's face there. Quick reaction to save the Cyclone, and then the consequent units that were left over otherwise. Still has to be pretty careful. Lock-on available now on the Cyclone of Clem, but he's a 1 shot away, more or less, from a Cyclone lock-on from dying. So he has to be a little bit careful. And Clem is actually somehow still behind in workers, Diego. Where did this come from? Like, what happened here?
Well, Clem had to do a lot of damage with this build, right? His second command center was extremely late, like at least a couple of minutes behind Cure's. So the ball was on his court to do damage, and 6 SCVs is really not that much damage. But you also have to remember that there was a lot of mining time denied from the main, and a lot of gas that Cure wasn't mining for a long time.
I'm not seeing it translated into the supply though. Like, yeah, like I just touched on the worker count, and that's definitely not there. But the rest of the supply also, I mean, it doesn't seem there. It seems like the army is tight. So what is it? Is it in production? Where is disadvantages that Clem found early?
I think he just kind of evened out his economic disadvantage from earlier, right? I mean, like I said, his second base was actually 2 minutes later. So that means that the entire time that he was prepping up the attack, Cure was mining a lot more. So it just felt like these 2 things kind of even themselves out, instead of Clem actually getting an advantage from that.
Okay. Hellion is going to fall there to the Reaper lock-on. 3 Ravens again on the side of Cure. Clem only currently working with the 2. So energy-wise, I'm not sure where they stand on those fronts, or how relevant that's going to be. I have to imagine it's the most important pieces here in this early to mid-game. Not looking healthy.
Indeed. Nothing too crazy just yet. One thing that you have to note is that Clem actually hasn't even started his stim pack yet, and it's not in the works anytime soon. I mean, these barracks are not even done yet. So he might opt to go into a double tech lab just so he can get both his combat shields and stim pack at the same time.
Alright, let's see if that's going to be the choice. First tech lab goes down. The second one, a little bit of hesitance there. Clem is moving out of the map, but Cure is well aware as he scanned the tail end of the move out there as the tanks were unsieging. Now Cure denying or delaying this base with a single Hellion. It could have maybe repositioned to try and hit both Marines as it does towards the tail end, but it's already taken too much damage. Still, it's going to be a little bit of a pseudo base trade here as both players encroach onto the third. Clem is quick to fly away, but not to send away his SCVs. So he's actually taking more losses here on those fronts. The CC for Cure will fall, which is nice for Clem. And Clem has to evacuate all the way into his main, but there's a Liberator in his main. So there's no more mining here for Clem. Production is going to be stalled terribly here. And now Clem also walking into Cure, but there's already a tank. Good job from the Raven of Clem, then, but it's going to be sieged by the Vikings of Cure. Siege of Clem's own is going to happen at the ramp of Cure. And on the other side, I mean, 56 SCVs and 52 SCVs have gone down, but the supply greatly favoring Cure in terms of army. So I have to imagine he's going to be able to perhaps turn around and eliminate Clem from the tournament as UGG is called.
Well, that was just rough. I mean, wow. Yeah, I'm not questioning Clem's decision to go for a base trade. I mean, I'm sure he was expecting there to be some form of resistance of Cure, maybe just staying in his base and playing a bit defensive. But I think it was unfortunate that he moved out without having spotter Marines around the map to check for Cure's move out. Because if he actually stays at home, I feel like the game is not that bad for him. All he needed was to buy a bit of time so that he could get his own production up and stem and plus one upgrades and that kind of stuff. But instead, feeling like he was pressured to deal damage on the other side. I mean, the game was not great for him either. You know, like I said, his base was about 2 minutes later than Cure's. There was a lot of mining on Cure's side of the map, while Clem was still stuck on trying to deal damage, and he only ended up killing 6 SCVs, so not great. Yeah, but what Cure did was, even though he lost mining time in the main, he just transferred all of his SCVs to the natural. So he wasn't getting enough gas to supplement all his tech units. He was still getting a lot of mineral income throughout the whole time, which is why his barracks were so much earlier.
I see. Well, very unfortunate for Clem there. He's going to be eliminated from IEM Katowice pretty early in the group stages here. Cure was already eliminated, so that is the only relevant consequences of this match. Unless, yeah, I mean, Cure made a little bit more money, I guess. But yeah, very sad for Clem there. And yeah, I mean, Cure was definitely working with more information towards the tail end of that game, right? Like, I felt like pretty similarly strong forces. Clem pretty heavy on the tanks, which made it very difficult for him to base trade as well. Whereas Cure with more consistent, more mobile, more easy to output DPS was able to move a little bit faster into Clem's main base. But Cure caught the tail end of the move out with the scan, and Clem still chose to move out without knowing what Cure was doing, right? So do you think when Cure moves out, he's trying to catch or stop Clem's move out in the middle of the map? Or do you think he thought, okay, like, I scanned you, I'm just gonna go around you, and I'm gonna base trade?
Yeah, I think he was just confident in the base trade, because if you know the guy is pushing you as well, you can already start to prepare the things that you need to do, pulling your CVs back, rallying all of your production to your main, and just preparing that defense while the guy has no idea that you're attacking him yourself. He has to do those things on the fly. So it definitely could be a deliberate decision. So very well done by Cure regardless, as he jumps up to 4th place in his group, which he will remain unless Neeb beats Dark.
Which I believe he's up 1-0, right?
Yeah, he is. So definitely a possibility. It's unfortunate about Clem too, because actually Oliveira is also losing 1-0 to Ragnarok. So the stars might have aligned there for him if he had beaten Cure.
Yeah, you know what's extra sad is he finishes last in the group on the back of this result. Maybe unless Neeb loses to Dark, I guess. But right now, as it stands, he is last on the table.
Yeah, rough day for Team Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, you said it's $1,000 extra also per spot, right? He just went down potentially 4 spots in this series as well. So not only does he not qualify, he loses out on those extra $3,000 too.
Yeah. Well, that's just, I don't know what to say.
What else happened for Team Liquid today?
Well, today I believe we have one more Elaser match, which should be Elaser against Cyril, but Elaser, however, is already eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be mostly a money match for Elaser.
So what went
And
wrong
not
in the
much
boot camp, I guess, would be the question, right? Like, what was missing, Diego? Did you guys have like sports
else.
psychologists and stuff, or?
Not at the facility, no. It was just mostly just us doing our thing. It was a very short boot camp. It was 4 days only. So
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. It's very hard to take a lot from that, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ineffective.
Maybe
you would
maybe a
say.
longer one next time.
Maybe a longer one next time. All right. More budget is what is required, Mr. Nazgul, if you're watching. But yeah,
Or
I
a
mean,
coach, you
toughness.
know. Cat's the coach?
Cat's the coach. You're
Question
gonna
mark?
hire me? That would be cool. Yeah, tell Nazgul. Yeah, tell Nazgul.
Sounds good.
All right. So Ragnarok versus Oliveira. Daejo is still going in favor of Ragnarok. Oliveira is actually going for mech in the second game. So that's interesting. But yeah, mostly inconsequential to the outcome of this stream. Still an important match there. For actually, it's not that important anymore, right? Like Oliveira is through, and
Mm-hmm.
Ragnarok is through. So as far as who will be advancing, this match is of very little consequence now.
Yeah. What it does, it might swap Dark and Oliveira for second and third place, depending on how results pan out.
Yeah. I'm pretty sad for Clem. We were just talking about how nice he is as well. He's just, he's always just a cheerful lad, and yeah, that's so sad. I'm so sad.
Well, maybe next time.
Imagine
I
as
guess.
well, like you were just like talking about Cure earlier, and you were saying, he's not what he used to be, like and then he comes and punches Clem 2-0 in the face after a boot camp. Damn.
Hashtag cursed.
Hashtag cursed. Yeah. Did you know that Cure has
Uh,
never listened to The Cure?
I don't doubt it. Yeah, I mean,
What do you mean? I mean, what? It's too old for you, Diego? The Cure?
no.
Have you
But
listened
I
to it?
think all of the StarCraft players are not really into rock bands. I think Beyond is literally the only guy who has like British rock bands in his
Oh, like the Koreans, you mean?
playlist. Yeah.
Okay. Because the Europeans are, like Lambo, sort of, right? Like.
Oh yeah. I mean, Europeans are way more into rock than Koreans are, for
For
sure.
sure. So
But
what do we have next after this, Daejo?
so our next match will be, and let me pull up the schedule just to make sure I'm not wrong. I believe it was. Yeah, Showtime versus Astrea. So PvP.
Showtime versus Estrella is happening here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. I didn't know we had that one. That should be a good one. Both players already eliminated, and
Once again, a money match.
yeah, it's a fight for who gets last in the group, I guess, at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Odds by bookkeepers have them at 50-50, like straight down the line. Who would you favor, Diego?
I would give a slight edge to Showtime simply because he practices a lot of with Max Pax, who's notoriously good at PvP.
Yeah.
So
Astray is a different beast in PvP, though. He's gonna try some cheesy stuff, but yeah. Then again, I mean, Showtime has one of the best defenses out there in that regard, right? He is the wall.
he is the Mauer indeed, I mean. But yeah. Should still be exciting, nonetheless.
It should. Very exciting match as well between Ragnarok and Oliveira. Seems to be coming to, maybe not even coming to a conclusion, but yeah, this last push definitely got shut down by Ragnarok there. I love watching mech games that are a little bit more active, like the way that Oliveira is playing mech. I like it. It's fun to watch. Like, not the turtle, I'm gonna make PFs everywhere and then Ghosts at Liberator, and just wait forever. But rather like those timing pushes with mech and stuff, like a bunch of Thors and stuff. I like it.
I like it.
Okay. Do you know? Do we have an ETA?
All series should start together, so we have to wait for them to finish.
Okay.
I think we might have time to run some commercials and go into a
Alright.
break for a bit.
Sounds good. We'll be right back, guys. Stick around.
Intel Extreme Masters Katowice is brought to you by Blizzard Entertainment, Monster Energy, and Intel.
Do it in ranked.
Whoa! How? This dude is insane.
Do it on land.
Oh my god! I need this guy on my team.
Do it on stage. Do it all on an Intel Extreme Masters certified PC. Game like the pros.
Wear your passion. Share your passion. Wherever, whenever. Gaming is a lifestyle. Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
You love it. You wear it, wear it, wear it.
Lobby's up.
Lobby's up. Alright, throwing it back to cameras. Welcome back, everybody. Lobby's up. My name is Katz, joined by Daiejo. What's up?
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back, everyone.
So what did you think of that result?
Which one?
Ragnarok 2-0 Oliveira into getting first place in the group.
Absolute beast, right? Like, I don't think many people expected Ragnarok to get first, especially in a group with Dark. And I mean so many others, so many other players, right? Ragnarok, I think, only dropped the series to Clem, actually.
That is true. The last person or the last player in the group actually beat the first player in the group.
That's just how stacked those groups are, right? Like, we can't really put all the onus on the Liquid Bootcamp here. It's just unlucky.
That is unlucky indeed, but also balanced as all things should be.
Balanced as all things are. And Straya rocking a diamond border here.
I really like it when people play ladder games on the tournament accounts and they just end up with like gold borders or platinum borders that they get from their placement.
Yeah, so Straya has been grinding. Apparently he doesn't have many friends over there because, yeah, I mean, he's been laddering by the looks of it. 4,500 MMR. He's almost caught up with me in like, like a day of work. That's pretty sad.
Yeah, I wonder how, because you only ladder in NA, right? So I don't know how the MMR translates exactly between servers.
I think it's about the same for NA and EU.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's about the same. He did lose a game though.
He probably had to leave, right?
IX Lion. Yeah, because both have 0 time supply capped. So yeah, he had to leave. 0 APM as well. So yeah, Straya just left right away. And he was playing Terran too.
Sag.
He has been playing Terran actually on his ladder account. He's 20-0 technically.
Usually that's what people warm up on.
Maybe he can make some YouTube videos of his experience. Wouldn't this be considered smurfing? Wouldn't people get riled up that Australia was playing on his tournament account?
Maybe. I don't know. You're the one who frequents Reddit.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of discussions about the morality of using accounts like outside of your MMR range, basically. So, yeah, I feel like Australia about to get crucified here as he took points from 20 people with his Terran.
Whoa. Pitchforks out.
Pitchforks out. I mean, like, those 20 people did not deserve to lose those points. They just happened to run into Australia. Unlucky. The person who Australia is going to be looking at, though, to take down here is Showtime. And that should be a really good match. Again, odds on bookkeeping websites, very, very even for this one. Now shifting a little bit in the favor of Showtime, actually. So people are not believing in Australia as much, right? After that great Home Story Cup second place finish, Australia did not show up in this tournament. But neither did Showtime. I mean, both of these players already eliminated. This one is a money match and a pride match.
Indeed. And exactly $1,300 is what they're playing for.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Because the winner does
not
advance that extra spot.
Yeah, not bad for a best of 3. That's definitely more than they'll get in most of online tournaments. So definitely going to be battling out as they were already playing chess in the lobby to determine who's going to win this series. Loading up into Royal Blood. Starting in the bottom left corner, it is playing for Team Alpha X. Max, Australia, Angel.
Currently not the Alpha and Alpha X, it's Ragnarok at the moment. And in the top right-hand side, the Alpha in any room he steps into, it is for Big Clan. Showtime!
Big, big, big.
Wow, you're reading for Showtime?
I just like their chant.
That's the.
I'm not
challenge.
rooting for everyone, Cats, as
Wait,
we
is that
shouldn't
actually
be,
the
because
chance
we are
of big?
unbiased casters.
I am not an unbiased casters.
You are not?
Of course not. That is a
Oh,
farce. That is anyone who thinks there is anyone in the world that doesn't have biases, just doesn't understand what a bias is.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. But there is a difference between having a bias and displaying that bias, right? Surely.
Yeah, so I'm an honest caster. I am transparent. You can see through me. I display. I say what I think. You know, like that, because otherwise you're being dishonest, right? So would you rather have a biased caster that has all of their biases, as everyone in the world does, or would you have? Would you rather have a dishonest caster? That is the philosophical question to ponder on for today.
There you go, chat. Something to think about as you enjoy these beautiful games. Because so far, nothing really happening in this match. I mean, it is a map without a ramp, which means there cannot be one gate expands, or at least most of the times there isn't. Both players just going into a 2-gate build with double gas.
Units. Let's gamble here. I have a strong bias on this map towards Stalkers because it is a short rush distance map. However, Astrea's gonna choose to go for 2 Adepts instead. Showtime with cancels 1 Adept,
he-
goes for Adept Sentry.
Interesting. I wonder what made him change his mind.
On the other side, I don't know, he must have seen something, or just, I mean, he could also be thinking, oh, the Sentry actually builds faster, so you can start an Adept, see if you change your mind, and then go for the Sentry and finish at the same time regardless.
Could be, could be. Both players already putting their pylons in the natural, indicating that they want to expand sometime soon. Adept, of course, of Astrea is going to go forward and attempt to scout, whereas Showtime is mainly just relying on the hallucinated Phoenix to get his scout off. But look at this, he's already sending a probe around, which means he might want to proxy a pylon, possibly some kind of pressure afterwards.
Very
Ooh,
interesting.
2 more
indeed.
sentries out for Astrea. This
That's
is unusual.
crazy. That is absolutely bananas. And okay, the Adept is going to get inside, shoots at one of the probes in the gas. Let's see if he can turn his attention to get 2. It's just going to be the 1. Blink will get started here for Showtime. Astrea is going to be aware of that. Drops an instant robo, possibly for the potential DT follow-up, but also with this many sentries, I have to imagine Immortals would be a good combo.
Indeed, indeed. As he does throw down his robo halfway done. I guess Showtime, like you said, probably thinking of doing some kind of blink pressure, using hallucinated phoenixes to get vision on the high ground. Because as many people may know, robo units are pretty immobile. It might be difficult for Astrea to jump between the natural and the main to try and cover both sides. So far, actually, instead, Showtime throwing down his own 3rd base, because why not?
Yeah, I'm actually very curious looking at the income graph right now. Astrea has had a little bit extra from the distant mining, I think, as compared to Showtime. But yeah, I didn't look at it fast enough. So, but it looks like that would be the more efficient way to do it. Would have loved to see, because I don't like testing that much, Diego. I gotta say, I'm not like very grindy in that sense, right? Like I like theory, and I can be a little bit lazy when it comes to practice. But this was a great opportunity to see who was mining more, and I kind of missed the window by a second.
Well, I'd say Astrea definitely mined more because he chronoed a couple of probes more than Showtime, and Showtime is also investing a lot into this Nexus, which means he might have cut some probes. Whoa! Okay, loses a Stalker. I mean, Astrea is aware of that proxy pylon on the left-hand side of the map, but he's still gonna decide to push anyways.
Blink is about finished. Blink is about to finish in 1 second. Okay, does punish 1 Stalker, but a lot of the Sentry energy already used. And the problem here for Showtime, or for Astrea, is that, yeah, he has an Immortal, but Showtime already has Blink. The good thing for Astrea, however, is that Showtime is already kind of pinned back, so he can actually get value off of the sentries even after Blink is utilized. The Immortal is very powerful, but Astrea giving Showtime a little bit too much time to get that shield battery situated. And once it's up, I don't know how he's going to breach through. If he is made aware that there is a 3rd base, maybe he can turn his attention towards that, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Good pathing here from Astrea will allow him to siege here. No more false force field energy, however, but the hallucinated Immortal might deter Showtime from engaging. It's going to be Showtime who pounces onto the opportunity to kill 1 more Stalker. This Nexus now under fire as the shield is procced from the high ground, beautifully done there by Showtime, just a little pot shot. But if he loses his Nexus, it will be all for naught. Showtime going for a counter offense. I'm not sure if I like that too much, because I imagine Estrella should be able to recall here right away. But he doesn't. He actually heads back, so this could pay off for Showtime.
Yeah. So far, Estrella is not aware of the counterattack. He does see it now on the observer. So I wonder what his reaction is going to be. Instant recall. Does leave one Immortal behind. I think that was a mistake.
It has to be a mistake, right? Like, I would imagine that it's a mistake. He's going to send it to the top left-hand corner just to hide, basically, to get it out of harm's way. Almost an Immortal flank would have been really sick too, though.
Can you imagine?
That would have been so sick, because there's so few Stalkers remaining here. Estrella being nifty as well with the Adepts. Love to see it.
Love to see it. As Showtime takes yet another third base, you know, second time surely is gonna work.
Surely.
Question mark. But
Yeah,
Adepts
big
are
question.
already shading in. Ooh, there's only there's actually quite a few.
No shade.
Then.
All right, well, that was unintended by Estrella, surely. Another little bit of a slip up here. A few in this game already. Those stray Stalkers you remember from earlier on both ends, really getting caught. So not the cleanest play, but a fun game regardless that we have in our hands. Fairly even, I would say, heading into the mid game. Of course, Estrella did get that Nexus kill. And yeah, I mean, Showtime looking to take the triangle third. Now, what I do like for Estrella in this position, as he's going to find this pylon and going to send his Zealot instead of using his Immortal and exposing it for a prolonged amount of time. Another Stalker, not like this. What I do like for Estrella is that he's going very quick into charge slots, mostly warping in Zealots, and the third base that he forced is rather open if he breaks down the rocks. So, knowing Estrella, I have faith in him to break the rocks. I like breaking rocks when it makes sense.
Indeed, as it seems like the metas are clashing. Showtime with Blink Stalkers versus pure Charge Lot Immortal Stalker. This is old school versus new school, as Showtime is desperate to defend into his 2 shield batteries. Overcharge does go out. Cats take it away.
Yeah, great force shields here on the side of Showtime to prevent most of the units of Estrella to come on forward, and that choke is going to favor Showtime greatly. But he doesn't want to overextend here. The shield battery overcharge is going to run out, and the next warping of units is here for Estrella. But he's coming from that narrow choke, so not really utilizing the fact that there is those rocks here to come at a wider angle with more charge slots. However, he does have those 2 Immortals. The Archon still trying to put in some work, but 3 shield batteries here from Showtime for the time being holding strong. Now the Immortal is being targeted as Estrella chases Showtime back. The War Prism will be targeted down as well, and the next Immortal is to follow. Recall was already used earlier, but it's now finally off cooldown, and that means 3 of those Stalkers will be saved, but not before some heavy losses on the side of the American.
Yeah, Showtime kind of showing here why the meta has deviated towards Blink Stalkers instead of those Charge Lot Archon Immortal compositions. Showtime just maybe taking too much of a defensive fight on the on the shield battery was just the defining factor here. And
wow.
Now Estrella just get rolled to the counter attack.
Yeah, an unfortunate game there for Estrella, truly. I mean, like, he had a decent position. And yeah, I'm not sure. Do we pin it all to the meta here, Diejo? Like, is that composition just straight up that much better? Because I feel like Estrella went into that with some advantages, with some edges, but also fighting into 3 shield batteries is more of my problem. Fighting into the shield battery overcharge is a little bit more of my problem, and ultimately fighting into a choke against Stalkers also not my favorite thing to do, right? So I feel like Estrella could have done some of those things, or could have mitigated for some of those things. Maybe getting a little bit too impatient, or wanting to capitalize on the earlier success by killing the Nexus, thinking, okay, I'm ahead in economy, let me hit him hard, and now.
Yeah, I think he might have felt a bit pressure to do the damage there to end the game, because he did cut probes. He started cutting probes since before the 6-minute mark. He hadn't made any probes for about like 2 to 3 minutes at that point in time. So definitely felt like he was behind economically, and maybe just trying to end the game a bit too much. I guess one thing maybe he could have done differently is kind of step back, wait for the overcharge to run out, or maybe even send some Zealots into the natural to force Showtime to move away from that third base, that heavily reinforced third base.
Yeah, and that is the problem with Chartreuse as well, right? It's very difficult to disengage because you're going to be taxed on the retreat by the ranged units. But yeah, I don't know if he needed to engage. I get your point though. He was planning on it, right? And just didn't want to deviate from that plan because he was cutting probes, etc. On that front though, I'm not sure that cutting probes was the right call for him. After killing a Nexus, I feel like maybe you just drop your third and take your economic leads instead.
Yeah, maybe. Well, hindsight's 2020, I guess. Astrea probably was really convinced that his push will work. Finishing that thought. He was probably really convinced that that push would work, so that's why he was kind of really gearing towards it. I don't think he expected there to be so many shield batteries and just even the +1 putting a lot of work there for the Showtime stalkers. Maybe he thought the +1 wouldn't be done just yet.
Yeah, very, very true. All right, well, we'll find out if Astrea can bounce back. As, the main desk is also here monitoring this game. Showtime is being asked to switch onto the red color, which he does. And Babylon, the city of sin, will be our next map, where Ewoks reign supreme.
Start the game, cats.
I start the game? I'm okay. Starting it. I've never started the game before.
It feels good, right? The power.
Not really, no. I'd rather not start the game or have power for that matter. I am a servant, Diejo.
I see. A lowly servant or just like a mid level servant?
It depends on what's needed. All right. We are now loaded into the game. And this man in the bottom right-hand side leading the series 1-0. It is for Big Clan. Showtime.
And climbing up, trying to come back from his loss for the sake of $1,300. It is Alpha X Max Estrella Angel.
Alpha X. Is that a dragon on the logo of Alpha X or a drake? Yep. Is it technically a dragon?
Yeah, I guess. Or a wyvern, maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Dragons. Are they very alpha? I guess kind of. They lay eggs, which is kind of cool.
Wait, is that why they're alpha? I would probably think because they breathe fire and have gigantic
fire
claws and
alpha. And what else?
You know, like their claws and
their claws.
They look cool.
So if I don't cut my nails, I'm more alpha. Is what you're saying?
Well, those would just be really long nails.
Oh, I see.
I wouldn't call them claws.
I see. Claws have to have a certain weight to them to pass the threshold, I guess.
Yeah, maybe like a bear claw. I think that would also be pretty alpha.
So yeah, that would be Showtime, right? Like bear claw is literally the logo here for Big Clan.
That is very true.
Both players making a zealot to deny the potential pylon and delay off their nexus here, as they have both. They are both looking to expand onto the low ground. Stargate on either side will be spotted as well. So Phoenix Wars not off the table.
Definitely not, and in fact might be what's going to happen this very game. I mean, both players already know their Stargate's going up, which means you want to start optimizing towards the Phoenix Wars, right? Like your Phoenix count is everything that's going to dictate the game. So you want to make sure that your economy gets up and going as soon as possible, so that you can consistently make those Phoenixes, but also you want that second Stargate as soon as possible, because that's where things start to get hectic.
Yeah, it's going to be a Phoenix on either side here. There's always a potential for an Oracle first if you want to be sneaky and gamble a little bit, hide your Oracle and then go when the Phoenix are moving on the other side, but that is less likely, especially when you know your opponent's also going for a Stargate, because then you should be signaling to your opponent I'm going Phoenix. And if you're both going Phoenix, then you probably shouldn't cross the map so confidently. The first Phoenix will do so, of course, as there is very little risk. They will find each other, and yeah, I think that should just be a trade, right? I don't see how one Phoenix beats the other! Okay.
No,
Should just be
that
a
was
trade.
close.
Yeah, that was actually close. I guess...
It's interesting how like these variations, for example, Showtime hasn't even... He opted not to even start the board gate.
This is like Harry Potter all over again. I mean, this is a gamble, I think, from either side. I have no idea who's going to fire first if both Phoenix are going to kill each other again. There is a random factor in the shooting, right, or no?
There is a random delay, yeah, but it's very small, and it shouldn't be enough for one Phoenix to beat the other.
Well, if there is a random delay and you want to gamble, the way to gamble would be to get as close as possible, right?
Yeah, you want your attack animation to be a bit far. Or not far.
Close. But you're gambling on both ends there. Yeah, you're gambling on both ends in the sense that you don't know which one's going to fire first. Here's the Oracle, the random Oracle from Australia that I was talking about. And it's going to work wonders for him. Already 4 probes going down. The recall! It will actually get saved. Wow,
that is really crazy. This Zealot will end up being killed, of course. But I guess if forced lift of some kind. But behind this, you can see Australia already going for the transition. He says no to the Phoenix Wars and starts pumping out the Blink Stalkers, or soon to be Blink Stalkers. And meanwhile, Showtime making Phoenixes 2x2.
Yeah,
but now he definitely knows.
Yeah, Showtime is looking for the Oracle again, but I'm not so sure that that's the play. I think you want to be out on the other side of the map, dealing damage to the probes as early as possible if you're Showtime, because you've identified that there's a gap in production at the very least on your opponent's Phoenixes, so you should have more Phoenixes. That should be I think that should be your cue to move across and be like, okay, I'm gonna find you. But he's still concerned about that Oracle. So we can see how important that recall from Australia with the 1 HP Oracle was, in the sense that Showtime is not dealing the damage that he wants to be dealing as a result.
Yeah, and I mean, now, I don't know, I feel like these Phoenixes might start to get a bit too much for Australia to handle. He's not going to protect those probes. He's going to end up losing quite a few of them, at least 5, I would say.
Yeah, and in that sense, I mean, good job from the Zealot sacrificing his life earlier, right? Because that's 2 less probes that go down by virtue of the Phoenixes looking for the value there. And in Phoenix versus Phoenix Wars, that would be a good thing to do, because you don't care about the probes in Phoenix versus Phoenix Wars. If you're lifting up probes, your Phoenix are dying to the other Phoenix. So you know, you pick off a Zealot, you're happy. But in Phoenix versus anything else Wars, all of a sudden lifting up a Zealot twice means 2 less probes that you could have killed. Yeah.
And this game actually took an interesting turn. I really like the way Australia is dealing with this. I mean, he put pylons all over the map because he knows that Showtime only has that 1 Zealot as anti-ground. But that also shows him that there is no third base. And what is Showtime going to do to kill him? Nothing. So he's just going to keep remaking those probes and kind of put on the pressure on Showtime's side of the map. He has Blink Stalkers now, so the only thing for him to be afraid of really are Immortals. So as long as he doesn't fight into those, I think he should be fine.
I mean, Immortals and Void Rays, though, against Stalkers, if they get pinned back, it's going to be a nasty fight, especially with the help of the Phoenix. And Australia knows that Showtime doesn't have a third. Now Showtime going for the third. However, the Immortal's going to get stasis, but that's a blessing in disguise. That could have been the probe, and it would have further delayed this third. I don't know if I like this approach from Showtime. I was looking forward to a big attack with Void Ray Immortal Phoenix, trying to capitalize on the fact that Australia has that third, on the fact that he has been getting map control. Showtime is unaware of the third, though, and that's part of the issue here, I think. Australia is getting away with murder.
That is very true. I mean, you can already see the economic advantage starting to pair up. 5 gateways on the way, +1 attack charge. Australia's economy is booming, and that's going to translate into army value soon enough, and it might start to snowball soon enough. I mean, I guess I can see why Showtime would be scared of pushing. Keep in mind that Phoenixes are not very good on top of shield batteries. If they lift Stalkers under a shield battery, they're not going to be able to kill it, especially with an overcharge.
Yeah, but I mean, you have Void Rays and Immortals to you know, help there to kill the units that are being lifted or the units that are unable to retreat. And I mean, Showtime can't really push once he situates that third, right? Like, because he could have had more units. He could have had maybe an extra couple of Void Rays or an extra Immortal or something of the sort, like depending on where he allocates his Chrono Boost. But as it stands, I mean, he has to sit back. He didn't confirm the third. Astrea already going for a fourth base and going into an army composition that this time around should be much better, because the Archons are going to do fantastic against the Void Rays and the Zealots are going to do fantastic against the Immortals. So where I was worried for Astrea, if he stayed on Stalkers, this transition is looking pretty strong.
It is looking pretty strong indeed. He does bring the War Prism, maybe poised to take a fight here at Showtime's third. Although I am a bit worried with this pushing into the SimCity with this many charge lots.
Yeah.
This is a great read on Showtime, recognizing the Astrea's army and just making sure that SimCity is his forte here. This is like playing Terran one-on-one. You want your SimCity to work for you against this many units, but is it gonna be enough? I guess we're gonna find out.
Yeah, Astrea, I mean, that Oracle once again providing extra value. The boy who lived is providing extra value here as he gets the revelation. He knows what the setup is, and as a result, he is able to find out. Here comes Astrea with everything. There is a Disruptor flank, but it's going to be flanked itself, not being intended to from Showtime, really not accounting for it popping up as it did. And now Astrea with a beautiful flank. The Disruptor is going to get a bad connection, to be honest, and now it's just the air here for Showtime. It is a sizable amount of air, but the shield batteries are all gone, and Astrea is flooding on through. Even if the air was to clear Astrea, I have to imagine Astrea will end up doing some economic damage here, as the Zealots are now spilling into the mineral line, and Astrea has 4 bases. It's not going to be required for Astrea to do anything else here. He will close out the game. Showtime will GG, and we have a tight series. Die Ejo Schwimmer, back to you.
What an interesting approach here by Astrea. At least this is a first for me. I don't know if this is a common way to do it, but he just decided, I don't really want to fight you in Phoenix Wars, so I'm gonna sacrifice my 2 first Phoenixes, and then I'm gonna throw a little curveball with the Oracle, killing 4 probes and getting the recall off, and then going into Stalkers. That was really cool to watch. I mean, it did look like Showtime could have killed them there for a few moments. Of course, he did not know about the third base, so he didn't know that he was actually being completely destroyed in terms of economy. So maybe that's what prompted him to just play kind of turtily. And then the hold, it also felt a bit unfortunate that one of the disruptors actually ended up being caught, so he didn't get the disruptor shot off. Maybe that would have changed things. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's completely uncommon to go, or completely unheard of, I should say. It is kind of uncommon to go for an Oracle in the face of scouting the Stargate, right, and try to be sneaky, and then play for Blink. And what's interesting here is that's kind of what happened because the first 2 Phoenix were sacrificed, right? If you think about it, usually you would think, oh, that's an even trade, that's an even trade. Not really. It favors Astrea in his approach, basically, right? Because if you are sacrificing those 2 Phoenixes, and you are transitioning, you were never going to get value out of the lifts. Where Showtime would have gotten max value out of his first 2 Phoenixes lift, which would have gotten the maximum amount of energy. So that could have been an extra 4 probes that Astrea lost like later in the game, because he was never going to be able to contend in the Phoenix versus Phoenix Wars if he was transitioning. So maybe that decision from both players to sacrifice their Phoenix also informs Astrea into his option as to what his options are transitioning, and how that makes kind of like reset the game back to where Oracle is an option again, because you've both lowered your Phoenix counts back to 0, if that makes any sense.
Right, exactly. And also buys time for his Warp Gate, right? Which he definitely needs if he wants to go into the Stalker-based army.
Indeed.
So,
indeed.
beautifully done.
Time also an issue, I guess like a concern there for Astrea that he takes into account. As he is going to be going for the low ground expand. Very rare on a map like this, especially a short one like this one. I wonder what Showtime is going to look to do to try to punish or slow down his opponent. Showtime not usually a player to, like to be too aggressive. He kind of likes to play his own thing. He likes to absorb. He doesn't have a sharp sword usually. And Astrea, I mean, he really wanted this Nexus too.
Indeed. I mean, even after scouting this, Showtime still decides to go into 2 gateways, which does indicate that he kind of wants to play a bit aggressive against this, try to punish it somehow. But yeah, getting the block at like 380 minerals, I think Australia was at, actually was pretty big.
Yeah. After DreamHack Atlanta, I went to Florida with Shutdown and Geralt. And one thing that I noticed Geralt does is he always, every single game that I've watched in PvP in the last season of DreamHack, opens 2 gateways. And I was asking him why, because it feels like you set yourself behind against this sort of build order. And watching his games, a lot of the time he is playing from behind, but he just felt very comfortable in the opening and very comfortable transitioning out of the opening into the late game. So I wonder if it's a similar situation for Showtime here, but it doesn't seem to be, as he does fire up 2 Stalkers. I would say that is the most pressure-intensive unit here that he can make in this early game, especially with a wall that's going to be exposed, right? Like, they can actually start DPSing that wall. So let's see what Australia does here.
All right, 2 Stalkers are out, 2 more on the way for Showtime. This is a pretty substantial investment, but he is going to have 4 units against
no battery.
3 at best.
Yeah, I mean, the battery's a little bit late, but lucky for Australia, Showtime didn't cross the map right away, right? Because if he had... I mean, worst case scenario for Showtime, if you cross the map, is you run into 1 Stalker and a second one popping up, right? Or, like, let's just say 2 Stalkers for the sake of it. You have 2 Stalkers against 2 Stalkers, no problem, right? So I'm a little bit surprised that he instead goes for scouting the proxies and whatnot, but I guess after his probe dies and he knows that he delayed the Nexus, he doesn't know, and he knows that Australia is the type of player that might do something like that, so...
1 Stalker does get caught out here out of position, but that does give him the chance to maybe push up and try to snipe the shield battery before the units get back. That would actually be huge. At least it does buy time for 1 more Stalker to come out.
Yeah, might tax him a Stalker here on the retreat, but let's not forget there is an extra Stalker here for Showtime out on the map. The Cellar is going to do wonders here for Australia as he continues to push Showtime back. And in Showtime's vision, I mean, does he know that there is no Nexus?
I don't think he is aware, because he did get walled off from the natural. Like, his unit was not able to push far enough to see that Nexus.
This could be very scary for Showtime, because he's going into sentries next, 3 of them all day, expanding, doesn't have a shield battery yet, and we have Blink on the way. Yeah, he did just confirm the proxy gate.
He sees a proxy gate. Shield battery is almost done. So definitely has an idea of what's going on here. His choice is going to be to go into Robo instead of Twilight. Very sound choice, as he wants that defensive capability of chronoing out Immortals against this push.
Yeah, but Australia's pretty all-in already. Oh, what a nifty, but I'm not even sure if that's... I mean, that's cute, but is it really going to accomplish anything? I guess Adept warping on the side is what Australia's planning here, right? Nothing else makes sense to me.
Yeah. It must be, because he doesn't have vision to blink into the main anyways. So maybe he just wants to open another path to...
It's very clever. I mean, it's very difficult to know or imagine from Showtime that that's an option. So I think Australia's going to be looking for that. However, his attack at the front is very committed. Immortal just started here for Showtime. And Australia's going to blink on forward. He knows that he has the Stalker numbers to start one-shotting stuff. Showtime with the hallucinations was very smart. As, you know, those could potentially tank. One of those hallucinations does end up tanking, but the extra reinforcements for Australia are here. Shield battery overcharge will go up, but the last shot of the Stalker is enough to kill an extra 1. Now Australia just has to wait. On the side, he canceled his gas, I think. So he's not going to be doing that trickery, but now has enough Stalkers to blinking once again.
Wow. 2 Stalker. Okay, does lose
Immortals
1 for
out.
it at least.
Immortals out. Immortals out, but away from the shield battery. Australia still thinking that he has the DPS, but missing 1 shot there is not ideal. Will proc the shield from the Immortal with that 1 Stalker. But yeah, things are getting heated up here. Both players in a little bit of trouble here. 1 shield battery at the front is already out of energy, but will get targeted down. Stalker bleeds on the side of Australia.
Yeah, he hasn't even tried to target down that Immortal just yet. It still even has his barriers up. Oh wait,
No,
it's still
it doesn't.
actually on cooldown for a
Australia
bit more.
poked it.
But it's up in 3 seconds actually. So if he wants to snipe it
Oh my
again,
God.
he is gonna have to go through the barrier. And there he goes.
So many of these units are just like surviving with 1 HP on the side of Showtime. Just not enough DPS here from Australia. And he's running out of gas. Next shield battery overcharge is here, and another Stalker bled out from Australia. Perhaps looking a little bit
Showtime
too
making
much.
sure to keep up that pro production, because even if they can't mine, they still work as buffer for the army, so very
Prism.
even still.
Hallucinated War Prism here for vision or something. I'm not even sure what that's about. Maybe trying to absorb some shots. Trying to make Estrella think that he made a War Prism for micro. But yeah, I mean, Estrella's kind of out of steam here. He's going to drop his own Nexus. Worker counts, like you mentioned, Diego, are even.
That's one more Stalker as he blinks away. But I think Showtime suspects it. He suspects that there's not more Stalkers coming in.
Estrella, stop.
Right? So
Yeah. I am so concerned every time he inches on forward Estrella. As now we're going to see the gas and potentially the move with the Adepts that we were talking about earlier.
It's interesting that he decides to do it, though, because frankly, he could just shade the Adepts from this proxy as well. But, oh, actually has Hallucinated Phoenix. Very cute. Links it to the main, but now he's going to be kind of stuck inside.
Yeah, misfired as well onto the gateway instead of one of the Stalkers. Only loses one Stalker for his troubles. Yeah, I mean, the advantage of the side path is the vision, right? You don't get a heads up if you're Showtime. You're going to be situated at the front there with your army. But he might get... yeah, he catches a glimpse of the probe with those Stalkers. And that means this probe is going to fall. And the investment from Estrella is for naught. There's those two Adepts as well on the side. They'll never make it in through there. But yeah, I love it. Like, I was trying to think about it, right? And it's like, why would you ever do this? It's just for the vision. You know where Showtime's going to be looking. And he shouldn't have been looking in that backwards path, and so that is what I think the surprise element is what pays for all of this trickery.
Well, unfortunately, didn't get the minerals off, which means that proxy pylon is not going to be incredibly effective. Estrella is still trying to get some map control, spreading units around. He has Stalkers in the middle to catch Hallucinated Phoenixes. Entries on the watchtower, Adepts on the other. He's making sure that Showtime doesn't cross the map without his consent, without his knowledge, because if he does so, it would be difficult for Estrella to hold, kind of. I mean, he's just now started to catch up in economy. He was a bit behind throughout all of this, but it also means that he didn't warp in that many units for a relatively long time.
Oh, look at the rocks. He's ready to break him if Showtime wants to come. But yeah, I mean, Showtime just started Blink, right? So it's not going to happen really. Not until Blink is ready at least. Showtime does have that faster third. Estrella is now trailing behind him. And he will start his +1 a little bit sooner than Showtime here. Also on the defense, Diego, a really cool thing that Showtime did that is kind of unintuitive is he only made one Immortal from the Robo. Which is unintuitive because Immortals are the counter to Stalkers. But, you know, like the advantage is you are not missing out on warp pins, so you have more units earlier, which is what he deemed he needed for the hold. So instead of getting a stronger unit later, he always favored, okay, like the next wave is what I need to hold. The next wave is what I need to hold, and it worked out beautifully for him.
It did indeed. Immortals, of course, are extremely expensive units. 275 minerals for you to dish out on the one base economy, essentially. It's a lot of money. It takes you at least like 15 seconds for you to mine that kind of money. So
yeah. And yeah, it's a time issue, basically, right? Because if you give me the option of spend your money in the best unit that you can get, and it instantly spawns, it's an Immortal, but it doesn't instantly spawn.
That is true. Very true. If you want it fast as well, you have to spend a Chrono Boost, which really you don't have that much of in the early game, so makes sense. As Disruptors are already going out for the Estrella. He's going up to 3 before Showtime's Robo Bay is even done, so maybe Showtime is feeling kind of pressured to do damage, but I don't know how much he can do against these many Disruptors.
Yeah,
it's
at least the wall.
Difficult.
The wall is going to be exposed, right? Disruptors are not going to be great at answering this, so Showtime will take that down. Estrella's going to need a new Cybercore ASAP, but I do love the transition because it kind of acknowledges, okay, I'm behind in this game economically. Let's just drag the game, and Disruptors are the best way to do that, right? Like, once there's Disruptors out, supply matters a little bit less. Oh!
Wow.
Estrella. Good moves.
Cold-blooded snipe there by Showtime. Really cutting it close there with the Disruptor shot, but very well done. as the cyber core is still not done, which means Astraea can't reinforce the stalker count. It should be able to soon enough.
Yeah, very cool move as well from the Disruptor of Astraea. Runs past the Stalkers, anticipating the blink, right? So almost catches a few there.
Or pin of Zealots, he is positioning himself to kind of do a multi-pronged attack here against Astraea.
Okay.
And it might actually work out.
Oh, be careful with that one. Yeah, it saves the Immortal at least. Great job from Showtime. There's more Spartals available though, so the Immortal's not even going to fire back. It's just crabbing around, as Zealots in the main are going to be pretty annoying. No charge on these, but Astraea doesn't really have the forces in place to deal with them. And charge lots and kind of just spreading your army if you're Showtime is excellent right now, because Disruptors work best in a clump, right? They're difficult units to pay attention to micro on multiple fronts. So yeah, I mean, you can take advantage of the fact that Astraea is kind of balling up into that composition if you can spread them open.
Yeah. Showtime was playing extra safe, by the way. He didn't move forward until he saw the Stalkers clearing up the Zealots in the main, so making sure safe against that. Those Disruptors are getting cheekier and cheekier. I mean, they're kind of out here without much protection, but he does have enough of them that if Showtime decides to blink forward, it might end up costing him a lot of Stalkers.
Indeed. We out here say the Disruptors. Now it's a Disruptor war game. Showtime with a sizable supply lead, but again, no, not the most meaningful statistic when there's Disruptors out, right? Like, because one single good Nova will equalize things easily. DTs to defend now on the side of Astraea, a very clever solution to the problem that we were mentioning before, right? Like, now Showtime needs observers wherever he wants a ram by, which is extra taxing, extra attention that he has to allocate. He has to not lose that very fragile unit as well. And Astraea chases him to the middle of the map and back.
Indeed. So, has to watch out there for the Disruptor shots, but so far good micro, no big hits. So, as of just yet, I mean, Astraea actually still on a low gas, I guess. Okay, now he's taking the gases of his fourth base. I don't think they started Templar Archives just yet, so not really opting for that gas dump option just yet.
Not just yet. A little bit of a counterattack here on the side of Showtime. Is there an observer? There is. And yeah, that could be a little bit scary, because the DTs might offer us a false sense of confidence for Astraea. Here is the DTs. They're going to be exposed at the front. The cannon in the back and the shield battery overcharge are going to try to help, but there's no blink on those DTs, so they cannot retreat. Another warping of DTs as Astraea, I imagine, tried to snipe the observer unsuccessfully. And here come the reinforcements for him, but it's not nearly enough. He has to bring his Disruptor army. Beautiful moves here from Showtime, utilizing the advantages that he has. But now the army of Astraea is here in full force. Only Disruptors to attend to the flank on the right. And this is where it gets dangerous. Showtime could blink on forward, and he does. Astraea now has to land some shots. He will land a massive one, but is that enough? All the Disruptors in the back still alive for Showtime. So Showtime capitalizing on exactly what we were talking about. It's difficult to hold on multiple fronts with Disruptors. Astraea does what he can, because he had to basically react to that army, but it's not enough. I mean, he has been reset back to the Stone Age in terms of tech.
Back to the Stone Age, well, in Protoss terms, basically. But yeah, he is still relying on those Stalkers. As he blinks forward, does snipe the Disruptor in the nick of time. Ooh.
Oh, does not snipe that one. One shot away again. Many of those close calls for Showtime, who is now continuing to apply pressure onto a fresh base of Astraea, which is a blessing in disguise as well for Astraea, perhaps, as another Disruptor gets sniped and a second one gets pretty low. A Stalker will be left without much to do there. The Nexus doesn't even get a cancel, but it does buy time for Astraea to actually react in the more important base, as he is now deemed to recall Stalkers. 3 of them will go down to the last shot of the Disruptors, and this is not enough actually for Astraea. Showtime punching on through very strong. 50 supply ahead already.
Very well done by Showtime, and Zealots are so fast that he can actually pull back once the Astraea's army comes to defend. So just being pulled apart really here. I mean, can't really keep up with both sides at the same time.
We'll blink on forward. We'll blink onto the Disruptors, and that's going to cost him dearly. That might just be game. I understand the feeling that Astraea needed, or felt like he needed, to make something happen onto that army. But it's not. It's not going to happen, Diego. This is a Showtime game through and through. I can't imagine a world in which Astraea comes back So I think we're witnessing the final moments here as the 4th and the 3rd of Australia are both getting sieged successfully.
Indeed, this base is gonna go down. Both bases are gonna go down, actually. Australia's economy is in shambles. He doesn't even get a good disruptor shot, connects on a single stalker there, as he's forced to tap out. Showtime kind of showing some dominance here, maybe a little bit of an early game edge, but the mid game was really where he showed his mark, his superiority there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he definitely had an early game edge going into the mid game. I feel like Australia's attack, was, like there were a lot of points in time where it was one shot away from killing a stalker, one shot away from killing a sentry, one shot away from killing another stalker, and that's really what you need. Those are really key moments in those early engagements because it's a snowball type army composition that Australia was going for. Also unlucky for him, his trick with the adepts did not pan off. It didn't work out. And Showtime, I mean, with a masterful class on how to abuse the kind of like immobility and wantingness to be together from the disruptors of Australia.
Yeah. It's interesting to see how like the APMs differ between these two players, as Showtime ended that game with an average of 495 versus the 336 of Australia. And of course, a lot of this is inflated due to spamming and whatnot, but still very different patterns, I guess, for both players.
Yes, indeed.
But,
so Showtime is gonna leave Katowice with some pride. Unfortunately for Americans, Australia lost, but on the other stream, Neeb actually managed to defeat Dark. So, American not ending in the worst of notes. And what do we have now? Daejo, I believe, a break followed by Special Hero, or?
Special Hero indeed will be the match covered here on the stream. I was surprised that we actually got such a good match.
It is the decider for the first place in the group.
Yeah, and I believe in the mainstream is gonna be Elaser Cero.
Kek. I guess it is for Cyril's life.
Yeah, makes sense, to be honest.
Makes some sense, yeah. I mean, if we got a laser Cyril, I would have been very happy too. But yeah, I mean, given the results, it feels like, as far as like the importance of the match and the caliber of the match, if we cover all the names and we just look at the results of the groups, we got the best one, right? It's going to be Special Hero for first place. Who would have thought Special, who came into the group as a heavy underdog, like all bookkeepers had him like just, like unfavored against every single person in his group by a decent margin, like 3-1 odds at the very least. Even against Hero, he has like 6 or 7-1 or something. So he has been the underdog through and through, but he has been shining through regardless, only dropping a series, I think, to Cyril in his opening match. And we saw game number 1 was looking pretty good for him in that series too.
Indeed. Making all Latin American fans very proud and making me not embarrassed at all to lose to him twice in the last DreamHack season. So good
and
for
twice
him.
in the one before, and twice in the one before. And twice.
And the one before.
And the one before.
And the one before. I think you can keep going for about
I think I can keep going
14 seasons.
It's revenge, Diego. You did the same thing to me.
And another one.
And another one. All right. Well, guys, we are going to be going to a break. And then when we come back, shouldn't be too long, right?
No, it's going to be quick. So don't go away for too long.
Don't go away for too long. We're going to run some commercials, and if you love it, wear it.
Intel Extreme Masters Katowice is brought to you by Blizzard Entertainment, Monster Energy, and Intel.
Do it in ranked.
Whoa! How? This dude is insane.
Do it on land.
Oh my god! I need this guy on my team.
Do it on stage. Do it all on an Intel Extreme Masters certified PC. Game like the pros.
Wear your passion. Share your passion. Wherever, whenever. Gaming is a lifestyle. Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
You love it, you love it, you love it, you love it. You wear it, wear it, wear it, wear it. You love it, you love it, you love it. Diageo. When are we starting?
Maybe a couple minutes.
Okay, okay. Who do you think will take it?
I would like Juanito to take it.
I would like Juanito to take it too. But who do you think will take it was the question.
Hero.
0-2? 2-0? Hero 2-0?
2-1.
2-1? I like it. Hero 2-0. Open mic, sticky tongue. Hells yeah. That's what we do.
Lobby's up.
Lobby's up. Lobby's up. And we are going back into cameras. Daiejo. Lobby's up.
Welcome, everyone. As we said, a quick break. Ready for our games. Map 1 is going to be Graysvan, a map we see almost too often here as the opening map of these tournament best of 3 series. Should be very exciting.
Should be very exciting. I like Graysvan at this point. It's been growing on me. It's a reskin too, right? Looks like most maps. Yeah, most modern standard maps.
I actually saw a lot of late games, at least in TVZs on this map. We did see Gumiho also try to turtle up a little bit against Creator going into that late game with BCs as well. But, of course, Creator having none of that and shutting him down. And I feel like that might be a repeat of what we'll see in Heroes Special. As Special tries to play his own style of turtling up and getting to the late game. Maybe even if he plays mech, which he has been known to do against Protoss in the past, there's very real possibility he gets shut down the same way. So curious to see how that unfolds.
All right. How have you been monitoring or noticing the expansion progression for Terran? Is it still, because we saw it in the first game and we thought, oh, vertical looks pretty good. Have you seen a mix or?
I think in TVP it has been mostly people taking the forward fourth base, and then the fifth base it's usually the one behind it a little bit to the other side. But yeah, it's difficult to go beyond that. Usually TVPs end when the Terran is on 5 base because these armies are so volatile, of course, and so powerful, kind of glass cannon-y, that it usually ends with Terran winning or losing at that point. Not much of a transition afterwards from the Bio Ghost Viking kind of play.
Okay, well, we'll see if that's going to be the case here. As you know, as you mentioned, Special is the type of player that might throw a wrench into that, like into the meta per se, in the sense that he is willing to play mech sometimes. He wants to go to the late game sometimes. And yeah, I mean, Hero is kind of the player that you don't want to go up against so much if your plan is to get to later, because he's going to try to kill you.
Yeah. Well, one thing to remember is that Special is one of those guys that really thrive in prepared builds. He's really able to just throw very aggressive builds. They're very out there, not really seen before. And I feel like if there's only one Protoss in his group, he definitely prepared a couple of cheeky builds to bring, especially against someone like Hero, who would maybe in like a straight up game kind of destroy any Terran in the world. So maybe kind of pressure here to do something cheeky.
Yeah, and especially against Hero, he takes usually like one every 3 games or so, right? Like 1 in 3 games rather. So it's, you know, he can beat Hero for sure. It's not so lopsided that we couldn't imagine a Special victory here. And to your point also, like Special tweeted that, you know, he already feels pretty happy with his performance and he is looking forward to this match for first place today. And he tweeted for first place. So I feel like when you put that kind of extra weight on yourself to be like, you know, this one's for first place, by the way, like come check it out, you probably have something prepared, right? You're probably somewhat confident that you're going to put on a good show at least.
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely. And Papi, not one of the people who show confidence for no reason, probably has something up his sleeve. And historically in TVPs in general, he's also the kind of guy who really likes to have the early games go his way with some kind of aggressive build. Just historically, I remember in one of the BlizzCons actually where he upset the world champion stats in the group stage just by destroying him with like fast tank pushes and banshees and that kind of stuff. So definitely a very real possibility of what we see here today. On the other hand, Hero, of course, is someone who's really fond of Blink Stalkers, Blink Stalker all-ins, 3-gate Blink, 4-gate Blink, that kind of stuff. So maybe he might be trying to end the series really fast. And I feel like with these two extra aggressive players and with extra prepared builds, we might be seeing a very quick series, but I'm not going to say that it's a quick series, easy win for Hero, and definitely not an easy win for Special. So it's going to be wild.
Yeah, it definitely has the potential to be wild. We'll see. I mean, there might be some big build order advantages or disadvantages as well, depending on what they're expecting from each other. Hero also probably going into this fairly confident, right? Like doing great in the group stages. I mean, his player card speaks for himself, right? Like, because the players rated those themselves, and he is kind of like, I think, the second highest rated after Maru at this point. So definitely expectations are high for himself, and he probably feels safe going into the least favorite player going into this group, but now competing for the number 1 spot. So should be a very interesting match indeed. We are all in the lobby, but waiting on something. Probably just every game to start simultaneously or something.
Yes, indeed. All series are going to start simultaneously. That is the word on the street. So that is the cue that we are waiting for. Also, we are still missing Hero from the lobby, so probably also an important factor.
Skateboarding to the stage. As he does.
As he does. The smiling assassin, of course. He arrives when he wants to.
And he just did. So, yeah, we should be set to start pretty soon here. He didn't. He elected not to join the lobby. It was a choice not to join the lobby.
That's how cool he is.
That is how cool he is.
But,
Special is timing
actually,
3 to 1, 3 to 1, 3 to 1, 3 to 1, 3 to 1.
He's a big lobby spammer, yeah. Every time I played against him, he's always spamming 3 to 1.
Interesting. I have a question, Diego, on TVP. So we've been talking about how this series could be very much build order based in the early game. We've also talked about like the propensity of Special to sometimes want to drag it onto the late game. But TVP late game has been nerfed severely, right? Like whereas the mid game has been buffed, you could argue by the EMP upgrade being removed.
Kind of. I mean, the window for the EMP is very short. The window for the EMP being stronger is actually very short because the upgrade was only 60 seconds before.
I see.
It does free you up a little bit of resources, but in general, I would definitely say that it was a nerf.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, though, the Novas, of course, Also being slightly smaller, but to be honest, at least from my perspective, it doesn't feel like that much of a difference. And someone did the math on it, and before the maximum amount of Marines it could kill was 24, and now it's 21.
Wow, that's like
So-
nothing. Yeah, that's like
Not
almost no
not
difference.
a massive difference. So in general, it feels relatively the same.
A lot
But
of
there are,
these
of
changes
course-
feel very same-ish, to be honest. I was very excited for the patch, but yeah, the maps have been more interesting than the patch itself for me. Like, I feel like I play the game and not a lot has shifted, you know? Like, I look at the Ultras and, you know, they look pretty much the same too. Like, they're a little bit smaller. But yeah. Hydras are definitely cooler. All right.
Very cool indeed. As we load up into the game number 1 in Grey's Van, it is spawning on the bottom right corner. Latin America's hero. It is Special for Sandstorm Gaming.
And in the top left-hand side for DPG, it's Korea's hero.
Oh, you said it?
I said it. I did it. Yeah. Got him.
I thought you totally baited me there.
You baited on the back of your own bait.
And Hero doing what he always does, which is his 12 probe scout to harass. This is incredibly annoying as a Terran player because it usually damages your first SCV enough that it gets so low you kind of have to be scared about him swinging back and maybe getting a few more pot shots and then. But yeah, in general, just a very annoying thing to deal with.
You don't want to repair it, but he has to. Turns around.
Yeah.
Spends a little bit of
Already
time.
forcing those resources out of Special to be put into repair. Definitely not something you want, which would, of course, delay your CC, the rest of your build a little bit.
Yeah, just marginal, but you can feel those little shifts. In fact, Daejo, like, yeah, people were saying how insignificant, for example, the creep change is. And maybe if you look at it on a map, it is true that, you know, like the creeps where it's not going to be much further behind. But from the Circ perspective, like when you have all your timings down and like, you know, like you go back to the screen to spread the creep and you can't, it feels pretty bad because you got to go and like reset your timers and go back to a different screen. It's kind of like the same thing here, right? Like you remove a few minerals and it's not like it should make a massive difference in terms of time or in terms of your ability to continue to keep on track and try to win the game. But it feels weird, right?
Yeah, I believe it does. It does also affect a little bit the range of things. So even if I say, for example, that Disruptor nerf is not as big, it still affects the range, right? Like it hits a little bit less further away. The reach is just not there sometimes, and it ends up whiffing more than it often would otherwise. Not even maybe like clipping a Marauder or a Ghost, which does affect the outcome of a game often. So
Yeah. Yesterday
definitely
we
not
saw,
insignificant.
Yesterday we also saw Cyril lose a game to Solar because his Ravagers were like 2 seconds late, which is, you know, the patch
it happens.
Again. Yeah, it happens. It happens all the time because there's so many interactions in StarCraft that all these minute changes do make a difference. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like the biggest patch in the world, but I mean, it's definitely things happening, you know, just difficult to note all the time. Good snipe on the pro.
Yeah.
The Reaper might pay with his life.
It will indeed, and he's not even going to get the scout off on the Stargate, I believe, which kind of sucks for Special. Although he is going into a build that I would say is actually not bad for it. But as I say this, he also goes for a proxy starport, and this game is already getting out of my area of expertise. Like, this is not something that I play it myself, so it's hard to say how it's gonna pan out. But so far, I can say for sure he might have a hard time getting down to his natural base, even though he does have a healthy or a marine count and a cyclone coming out. Does have to be careful against those adepts.
The Cyclone's gonna have to be key. The Adepts, of course, they want to reserve their better judgments for their friends to arrive. The Phoenix is now here as well, so the Cyclone under a little bit of pressure here, as it's likely to get picked up, especially if it's isolated from the Marines, which it currently is. Oh, nice. Good snipe.
That's one adept. That's actually really good considering he wants to go for a Marine tank Banshee all in. Every adept, every unit that he kills counts, and even getting small things done like damaging this Phoenix might actually help for his push later on. So small little wins like this might actually dictate the result of the game later on. So very interesting.
Very interesting indeed. It's going to be Cloak Banshees on the side of Special. I would expect that he's going to make 2 of them before moving in.
Small supply block here, which might delay his unit production a little bit.
It's a little unfortunate for sure. But yeah, I mean, Cloak Banshees, I like it. At the same time, Hero did not cut any corners there. He went straight into the Robo very promptly, so there will be most likely observers out by the time there is already one out, but it's out on the map. But there should be a second one in production at some point soon, right? And the Banshees should be spotted. If that's not the case, Hero will have to be quick to the recall before the Banshees can do too much damage.
Yeah. And frankly, I'm not sure how this is going to pan out. It could be a hold for Hero, but it could also be a win for Special. I'm not entirely convinced that this will work simply because Banshees dies so quickly to Phoenixes. They are, of course, light units, so they receive bonus damage from the Phoenixes. And of course, there are also observers for the Cloak. Shield batteries actually heal quite well through their damage, so...
It's just the one observer and it's out of position for the time being. So I'm keeping my eyes open and seeing in the production tab whether as an observer will get started right after this Colossus. Because if it doesn't, it's going to be on Hero's reflexes. Oh no! And, he recalled already. So is the Banshees already in the main? What's Daiejo?
Yep, sorry, I missed that. Banshee going into the main. I believe it was just the one. It does end up getting killed because he recalled the observer together with the Phoenixes. But yeah, that is one less Banshee he's going to have with this push, and also the one less Cyclone. So already not that great of a start.
Really bad start, actually. Wow, actually, 2 different probes getting shot at there, so not even going to get one. I'm very surprised that he went with 1 Banshee instead of waiting for the second one. It was kind of like offbeat as well. It wasn't like the Banshee spawn that he went because he still had to wait for Cloak.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting tricky already. And 2 tanks and a bunch of Marines is definitely not going to be enough to push through Colossus with range. Luckily for him, he still got a few seconds on that. He might decide to just go back instead. But even still, maybe Hero won't let him get home scot-free, already taking care of these reinforcements and keeping his army ready to pounce on it for the future. Still, Banshee's doing harassment in the natural though.
A third one. I mean, no one expects a third Banshee. That's just bananas. So the third one is actually the one that finds some relevant damage as they get 6 probes, almost 7. Could have been 7 for sure. As again, 2 of the shots are split between 2 probes. And a 4th one. I mean, look at this man. Oh my God.
No one expects a 3rd one, let alone the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th.
Yeah.
But it does look like the 5th one will instead be a Raven, which is actually not a bad choice.
Yeah, I mean, this turret will get taken down here before completion. The Marines are gonna shoot away the Phoenixes, and the tanks are ready for the frontal attack, but it is a lot of Hero here at the front. Phoenix is trying to look for what they can, and the 4th one is doing fantastic. Warpins
and now he's forced to move his whole army back, and the Phoenixes.
There is an observer at least in the back, so that's something. No recall for Special means the Banshee is gonna die. It does find a stray probe there on the way out, so... Nice job from Special.
Yeah. I think I will still give the edge here in this game to Hero. Of course,
sure.
He has had his 3rd base secured for a while now. And you can see like his Robo unit count is building up so hard. 3 Colossus, 1 Immortal, and now already starting to transition to Disruptors. It looks kind of scary, but on the bright side, at least for Special, he has a lot of tanks, and tanks are particularly good against Robo units. It's not like he's making tanks against mass charge lots, so...
yeah, but as we say that, like, because as you were finishing that thought, the upgrade that I'm looking at is charge, finishing, researching, right? So Hero is going to have to take a little bit of time to make that amount to something relevant in terms of the charge slot numbers. At the moment, he only has 8, but once they're out, it could get a little bit dangerous again. How do you like this 3rd for a defense against that sort of attack? I think I like it, right? Because there's 2 chokes that are sort of narrow and they're pretty far away from each other. So Zealots coming from multiple angles shouldn't be too easy for Hero to pull off onto this base.
Yeah, this is definitely the easier base to defend. The other one is simply too far from your natural for your reinforcements, and you do open yourself wide. So this is definitely the base to do it. He is going to lose a tank, which is extra unfortunate, as it is the looming push. As
Push.
Yep, Hero is going to push forward. He's going to lift all the tanks. Still, the Bio is doing incredible work killing those Phoenixes, making sure that they don't lift the tanks for too long, but still, it was long enough for all the tanks to fall.
Oh.
Immortals and Colossus still reigning supreme in the back, doing so much damage to this army that Special is just forced to tap out. Wow. I thought that the tanks would do a lot more, but still, yeah, the Phoenixes did what they had to do, which was to just get them off the Colossus, and the Colossus just melted that mostly marine heavy bio composition. Like, he didn't have enough Marauders to tank the shots.
Or medevacs, right? Because he made 4 Banshees and the Raven from his first
yeah,
starport. He
no
had to make a
medevacs,
second.
no Vikings either. You know, like nothing. And also ghosts are extremely important against Phoenixes, but of course you can't afford ghosts on 2 bases. So it was just, I think I would dare to say that this was a build order loss for Special, because his build looks particularly good against, for example, Blink, and may be good against Robo first. But it ended up going up against Adept Phoenix at the start, so his Banshees just really didn't do much. I mean, the first one killed 2 probes. That sucks.
That sucks. He should have waited for that second Banshee, right? And yeah, like the sad thing is towards the tail end of that engagement, I switched to Observer, but then the things that you were talking about weren't always matching, and I realized I wasn't the Brazil Observer. So then I switched at the very end, but I missed the very start of the fight. So yeah, for anyone that noticed, that was my bad. Diego was looking at the fight. It's just I was switching between him and the Brazilian Observer in the worst possible moment.
Whoops.
Whoopsie daisies. But yeah, I mean, yeah, nothing too crazy happened in that fight, I think. It was just straight up here walking in and killing him.
Indeed, as we go into game number 2 here in Babylon, Hero up 1-0 and kind of securing his first place in the group, or at least looking that way for now, and with his annoying 12 supply probe scout. It is spawning on the bottom right corner, Dragon Phoenix Gaming Hero.
And it is spawning in the top left-hand corner for Psystorm Gaming Special. Energize the game. I never got it. I always thought that Psystorm Gaming was sponsored by an energy drink, just based off of the slogan.
It would make sense, right?
It would make a lot of sense, yeah. Energize the
Maybe
game.
like a battery company or something, I'm not sure.
Yeah, like something like that. But yeah, I think it's just a random slogan. I like it. Energize the game. Let's see if Special can do that.
Wait, this is actually getting kind of funky, because I feel like Special wanted to build a second gas there, or...
Oh no, see me! Gets repaired.
No, the repair was there, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's
that was
okay. It's good. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's
calm
good.
down, Cat.
I mean, he
knows
turned
what
around the
he's
second. He turned around the SCV at the last second too, right? Like the repair came in a millisecond before the probe turned around. Oh, the SCV!
Oh. See, you don't trust them, Cats. Let the champ do his thing.
Let the champ. The champ is actually champ.
Well, he's the reigning champ, but they're both champs.
That's true. That's true. Everyone's a champ. I've also won a tournament before.
What have you won?
The Twitch TV Invitational back in 2010.
Ah, that doesn't count.
Justin TV Invitational, actually. It does count. Had all the cool kids in
Nah.
it.
The cool kids.
All the cool kids at the time played in it.
Who did you play in the finals?
Okay, so that was a little bit of a fluke. So, I mean, that guy, like Bubbles, is who I played in the finals.
Oh, Bob,
But
the
I think
legendary.
but he beat like 91 mana or something, you know? So, like, yeah, I wish I played someone other than Bubbles in the finals, just for the prestige factor. But all the cool kids were there, okay? Like Wide Run,
I'm sure.
Mana.
I'm
yeah,
sure.
Everyone who was good.
As this game has taken a weird turn, Hero did kill one SCV and got the scout off on this barracks that has a tech lab and going into a Marauder follow-up. But no concussive shells being researched just yet. He doesn't have the gas for it. But he will get in and maybe spot the Stargate. That would actually be kind of big.
Okay, did he see it? I'm
did see
afraid
it,
to
yes.
look at different cameras at this point. Marauder
He
will
did, he
be
did.
defending the SCV as the SCV juggles around to make sure he doesn't get shot by the Adept. So CC will finish without much trouble. Okay, Diego, you're special. You scout the Stargate. What do you do?
Cyclone instantly, and that is what he's going to do. He's going to swap, make a Cyclone, and maybe even a second barracks. Or he also has the option of instead going into a 3cc. 3cc is perfectly viable against Stargate simply because you know that Phoenixes and Oracles can't kill you. So you can afford to be a bit greedy, maybe even skip a bunker. And if you do that, you're kind of just buzzing. But instead, he's actually going to go into Starport. Which is curious because I'm not sure what he wants to build from that besides Vikings.
All right. And yeah, I mean, this Marauder's not getting shot at as those are just going to continue to walk on forward. That was a little bit weird. I guess he was just looking for the scout, but doesn't really pay off. Phoenix going to have to lift the Reapers, but offer some information in the process. These Adepts don't go crazy now. And this Cyclone, MacGyver Cyclone, has to pull back. You know that there's 2 Phoenix out there.
Yeah, and Special kind of... it felt like he was kind of showing that he wanted to push, but instead he is going to lift his Starport into the Factor, maybe go for a Raven instead, and just a 3cc behind it. So nothing crazy, just playing the defensive game like that I said, against a tech building that can't punish him for it.
Yeah, single Phoenix lift cannot... I guess, can you kill a Cyclone with 2 lifts?
I mean, you can, assuming that this Terran doesn't pull SCVs for some reason, but it will take so long.
So it's just not worth.
Yeah, absolutely not worth.
Because I was looking at that situation, I was thinking, wow, if Hero actually turned around thinking, okay, I have 2 Phoenix against 1 Cyclone, and then the second Cyclone popped up, that would have been so beautiful for Special. But,
no one would ever dare try
okay.
2 Phoenixes against 1 Cyclone, for sure.
Got it.
This one Adept is going to go down here,
Nice.
but he will use this opportunity to catch a couple of SCVs. Not a bad start. Oh, maybe stayed a bit too long there as Cyclones get the lock on, but unfortunately they were not
that scan was
both
wasted.
on the same Phoenix.
Yeah, that scan was never gonna kill any Phoenix there. So a little bit surprising to even see it used.
It looks like Storm Charge Lot is going to be the choice here for Hero in his follow-up. Banshee, on the other hand, for Special. I mean,
What
he already
the
made
hell?
a Raven. And then he's going to Cloak Banshee.
Is he faking it? He was faking it. He was faking it for the Phoenix.
Okay. Good.
Good.
Or maybe he did cancel. He wanted to like sneak it in, because there might be little to no detection. But I guess getting scouted, you 100% want to cancel that. As he is going into mech, actually.
Welcome to mech, as they say.
Instantly
Matfield.
scouted though. Unfortunate.
That's okay. Do you think we are producing tanks with on the side of Special? Like, do you think there's any opening for mech to be played a little bit more like the battle mech styles that we see sometimes in the openings of TVCs, like Cyclone Hellbat type thing? Or is that not a thing that you can do in this matchup?
It is, but the problem is you have to be a lot more careful of dying to a push than you do in TVZ. Because in TVZ, your Zerg is just so extremely weak off creep, unless they're playing some kind of Roach Corruptor timing.
Preach.
But still, you know, you don't have to be so afraid of that you can afford to just go straight into Cyclones first. But you can see Spectre is already scared, you know, because at any moment a flood of charge lots could come in. He's positioning tanks, he's making turrets. He also needs turrets in the main, by the way, against a War Prism that could fly in. But it's so much more scary to play mech in TVP, and that's why people usually make these tanks first before opting to go into Cyclones later on for poking.
Now, what I would really love, given the opening and the number of Marines that he has, is just build 2 bunkers, right? Like, those Marines are just kind of like sitting around, they're like purposeless. You put them in some bunkers, and when you're going bio, it kind of feels bad, but here I feel like it would be nice. No? Clips the Observer there, lucky. Oh, no, Templar.
He killed a Templar, a Phoenix, and the Observer with 3 Cyclones, so that was great value. Totally worth it.
This mine. Oh, could he retarget? No. He does not retarget, and instead it's going to be caught off position and not paying attention. The Cyclones are just going to get taken down right away. Storm everywhere. I mean, he even stormed the gas where there was absolutely nothing just because he has the Storm to spare. The tanks are going to get rid of these Archons while they morph. So that is a plus for Special, but he has already lost a few SCVs in his natural base expansion. Some Hellions are being created here, and with the SCV's help, he should be able to clean this up eventually, but at what cost?
Is he gonna be able to clean it up? I mean, these charge lots are so numerous. There's so many of them, and they already killed 35 SCVs. And he doesn't have Blue Flame, which is an upgrade that you sorely need against this type of unit. And yeah, this is just mech being mech, you know? And the reason why you don't see mech in this matchup too often.
But where were like the Hellbats? Can you make Hellbats?
I think he did. You can, but they still die to the charge lots. Like you need Blue Flame.
Nicey too. Yeah, the Storm would have been nice,
Yeah.
nasty as well.
Just yeah, a rough series and a quick one, like we predicted. That's what happens when two players just play extremely aggressive.
To be fair, we kind of predicted everything for this series. We're like, it could go long, could go short, could be a 2-0, could be a 2-1. Not gonna
could be
easy
mech,
for
could be
Hero.
bio.
Definitely not gonna be easy for Special. Could be mech, could be bio. I mean, I think we're great analysts, obviously. Yeah. As
Great
just
analysts,
exactly as everything that we said came true. So, yeah, great analysis from us.
But yeah, congrats to Hero, wins this, secures a first place in the group. What I am afraid though is of Special actually getting knocked out of the group because of this, which would be really unfortunate for him.
That would be crazy. I mean, this was a fight for first in the group. Surely not, right?
So if Solar beats DRG, Special would be out.
No way!
Yes, and he is currently 1-1 against DRG.
What? Special? Oh my god. Sweating. I mean, he went into today at the top of the charts of this group, fighting for first place in his last match, and now it's completely out of his hands, is what you're telling me?
It's completely out of his hands. He has to pray that DRG, who is almost already eliminated, by the way, takes out Solar.
DRG is my Sabu, Daejo. Of course he's going to take down Solar. I mean, now I'm rooting for DRG. Caster bias. Yeah, I want Special to advance. He is the last remaining hope for Latin America. And yeah, it would be nice to see him move on. And a heavy underdog as well, right? Heavy underdog going into this in a very stacked up group. No one believed in him.
Yeah, but even if Special is out, I gotta say I'm extremely proud of how he performed in his group. Did really well, snatching himself 3 series wins in a group that most people consider the most stacked by far. So
yeah, he really performed
for
here
him.
at this tournament. But see, we're talking in past tense already, and that's scary because there's still a chance here. DRG, a very powerful
crossed.
Man. Fingers crossed. Indeed. So yeah, that's happening on the B stream for anyone that wants to watch it. I'll keep my eyes on it for the time being, Daejo. We might as well, as this is a very important series here. DRG with a 3 supply lead, 7 worker lead, in fact. Okay.
If anyone's curious what happens next after this, so the series after Solar DRG is over, we will once again tune into our last game of the day. There's going to be 3 simultaneous matches on this stream. We're going to have Maru versus Lambo.
The best one.
Even though Lambo is already out of the tournament, this is extremely important to dictate who gets first in Group D, as Maru, Beyond, Hero, Marine all have the same series score. But it could go anyway.
Yeah, Lambo has been taking games left and right from very strong terrain, so can he do it? Can the Circle pull through one last time before going out? The entirety of the Circle has actually been eliminated, some would argue.
Well, Cero made it through.
Is Cero in the Circle? I guess, yeah. Sure. If you want to.
Raynor absolutely made first in his group.
Definitely in the Circle. Very true. Right. Well, this game is interesting. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not obviously not gonna commentate over the game so much as pay attention to it. I am very interested in the result, but DRG seems to be in a decent position. Supplies even. +1's faster for him, right?
Mm-hmm. Indeed, indeed.
It's gonna be a
It
roach
doesn't look
fest.
bad.
Yeah, should be an interesting match. B stream again, casted by Biomorph and Steadfast. For anyone that wants to take a peek there, I am sure they're very engaged in this game and with the commentary of it. CVC. I love CVC. We didn't get any Cirques today. Finally, we're getting Lambo the King at least.
At least, yeah.
Are we starting right after this match, you think, Dayejo?
There'll probably be a little bit of a break, but not too long, I would say.
Okay. Should we go on a break? What do you guys think in the chat? Probably should go on a break, right? Or no? Because I'm just staring at the screen right now.
We might have to because we do gotta run some ads
That is very
to
true.
meet the goal.
So, yeah, we're going to go and run some commercial advertisements. You guys stick around. We'll be back in a little bit. Thank you for watching.
See you guys.
Intel Extreme Masters Katowice is brought to you by Blizzard Entertainment, Monster Energy, and Intel.
Do it in ranked.
Whoa! How? This dude is insane.
This dude is insane.
Do it on land.
Oh my god! I need this guy on my team.
Do it on stage. Do it all on an Intel Extreme Masters certified PC. Game like the pros.
Uh-oh.
Wear your passion.
Uh-oh. Dayejo.
Share your passion. Wherever, whenever.
Such.
Gaming is a lifestyle. Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
You love it. You wear it, wear it, wear it. Solar
There it
one.
goes.
So special's out.
Yep.
Damn, that's crazy. That's so sad. How long do you think we will have of our break, Dayejo?
I'm sorry?
Do you know how long of a break we will have, by chance?
No. But it won't be long.
It won't be long. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cold. It won't be long. So for Special to be eliminated today, he needed to lose to Hero, DRG needed to lose to Solar, and Laser needed to lose to Zero. Only if all of that happened. That's sad, yeah?
It's very sad.
mute myself for a sec to eat some yogurt.
Hello?
What's up? Oh. We should be starting really soon here, right?
Uh-huh.
Because there's some lobbies going up already. I've made a terrible mistake.
Lobby's up.
Lobbies up!
What was the mistake?
Like, I ate too much hot sauce.
Rest in pepperonis. Why did you decide to eat so much hot sauce?
It's very difficult to gauge how much is too much with this hot sauce. More on camera. Whoa, I messed it up. 1 sec. It's very difficult to gauge how much is too much because it's like you would need like 1 drop and it's too much, it feels like. The hot sauce name is Flatline The End. It's the 3rd hottest sauce in the world. 7 million Scoville.
Ah, I know it. Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have like a maybe like a 5-10 minute break from casting, and you're like, okay, I'm about to cast IEM Katowice. Let's eat some Flatline The End.
The thing is,
hot
I ate
sauce.
Flatline The End with every meal, right? And I had like my meal waiting, and we had a break. So and
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop eating carbs tomorrow for the most part, right? Like I've been waiting for Katowice to kind of fade out, so I can stop eating so many carbs and like just start exercising a little bit more and whatnot. But today is my revenge day, right? So today I got like this place called Biscuit Belly that makes like really freaking good biscuits, and yeah, I guess it's like a southern thing, the biscuits, because I haven't really had many biscuits before moving here, but
It's just biscuits, no gravy.
no gravy,
right?
biscuits and gravy. Like it's
Ah,
like
okay.
I had like a biscuit sandwich with like fried chicken, gravy on the side, which is where I put the Flatline The End, and then I mix it,
Mm-hmm.
and then like bacon, cheese, and I think and an egg and an egg sunny side up. So it like it also the yolk goes into it. It's a massive biscuit, but yeah, I put the sauce in the gravy. But I put too much. Yeah, like I usually put like 1 drop. I might have slipped a little bit,
Ah, that's rough, man. I hope you recover for this series because it's also a spicy one.
Yeah, I think
Maru
I'm
versus
mostly fine.
Lambo.
Maru versus
Nice.
Lambo should be a great one.
Yeah.
So Maru is possibly the best player in the world right now. Lambo has been preparing a lot for this group, like improving his CVT in particular, which has been a weak point for him. But he tweeted about how he was kind of like not displeased with his performance, right? Like he was happy about the work that he put in and the results that he got as a result. But obviously he's already eliminated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that's not to comment on his chances against Maru though, because I was practicing with him 5 games every day against Terran for this tournament, and it felt like he was doing super well. Unfortunately for him, it didn't pan out against Hero Marine and Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that there is no chance against Maru. Of course, though, we can't. I mean, it's safe to say that Maru needs this a lot more than Lambo does.
Mm-hmm.
So he might be coming in here with a lot more hunger for a victory than Lambo is.
Okay. You think
But
so?
of course, I mean, I don't know how much Lambo values that, up to $2,000 that Lambo could make by winning here. But
I think it's a pride for Lambo. I think it's a pride
Yeah.
issue.
could be as well. Yeah.
Like I think it's a pride issue and coming in with no expectations, with basically like nothing to fear, right? You're already out. I think relieving that pressure is actually good for Lambo, because Lambo tends to put a lot of pressure on himself to perform, and he talks a
Mhm.
big game pretty often. So to back it up is a tall task, and right now he probably feels like he doesn't have to. He's up against possibly the favorite to win the entire tournament, right? You're expected to lose 0-2. You're already
Mhm.
eliminated, right? So I think playing for nothing to lose and in the position of Lambo is probably an asset for him in particular.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And I mean, we're StarCraft players, you know. We have that hunger to play against the best and take them down. So even if there were nothing on line here, just being able to say that you took down Maru in a best of 3 is a great personal accomplishment, at least in my opinion. So
sure.
there you go. There's all the motivation you need to try your best against, like you said, one of the best players in the world. So
Yeah.
should be fun. And we're also starting on Dragon Scales, by the way, which is one of the maps that Lambo prepared super hard for ZVT. If I had to guess, we're probably going to be seeing very heavy Link Bane play, because that is what Lambo practiced on this map. And actually, he did the same against Beyond, and he almost took him down. It was really, really close. He was doing super well up until a certain moment. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we saw here this time.
Yeah, and he did take a map from Bian as well, right? So that's
Yep,
pretty good.
he did.
Yeah, not too bad of a performance at all so far from Lambo. Map-wise, series-wise, it's been really close. In a group that is super stacked up against him, right? Like, again, like one of the players that would go into this group as not the favorite, probably, in most people's eyes, but has performed well. So we'll see. He has Maru, the tallest task there is at this point in time. And yeah, I mean, have you seen his scorecard? It's crazy.
I have not. Maru's, I think, was 94, right? Or 96?
Like 96 or something ridiculous. Yeah, he had like
Yeah.
3 topping stats. And apparently they were made by the players. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. That's about what I would rate Maru as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Lambo's card was like, but
I have no idea. Yeah,
I imagine it wasn't too shabby either, probably in the 80s, if I had to guess.
probably. Yeah.
And here we go. We have green light to start the game. I have pressed start game, that juicy orange button that was waiting for us. So tempting. I've done it, guys. We're going into the game number 1 on Dragon Scales between Maru and Lambo. Put on your seatbelts.
Put on your seatbelts because we're going into Lambo's game.
Spawning in the bottom right corner of Dragon Scales, it is playing for On-Site Gaming. Maru.
And for the Shopify Rebellion, in the top left-hand side of the map, some have called him the Puppeteer. He is Lambo.
We already see an interesting start to the game
very.
here.
Maru does like
Walling
his
off
easy
in the low
firsts.
ground. Yeah.
Do you think he will?
I think it's gonna be Barracks.
Okay.
Barracks first. Yeah.
Are we seeing
And what
Reapers
this
of
does for him,
Yeah.
yeah, usually Reapers, and then what that does for him is that he doesn't have to SCV scout to be in order to not be afraid of Pulvers, because he will be walled off. Lynx cannot run in, but it also could be 2 Rex Reaper, and there you go. Interesting start to the game. This is also what the special played against Elaser, I believe. Usually can be like 3 Reapers into a faster factory, or you can also opt to go into a higher Reaper count, like up to 5, depending on how much pressure you want to put on. But just in general, a more aggressive build, but not all in by any stretch of the imagination.
Not by any stretch. So yeah, let's see what Lambo can do here, as this is the sort of build that Lambo tends to, you know, if he has gone up against this build and he has prepared against it, he will have a very set response. And this is the sort of build that he might think that shouldn't work type thing, and maybe he'll just shut it down all the way. The problem here is going to be Maru's control, of course, right? Like, we have Reapers in the hands of one of the most proficient players in the world at controlling units, Reapers of all things. So let's see what kind of damage he can find, if any.
Yes, we'll see. Of course, Lambo opted to leave his 2 overlords at home. He scouted most of the common proxy locations, so he has no idea this is coming. Of course, it's going to be quite a surprise to him, as he does sneak out a drone to take his third base. So he will have to defend this with a few less minerals to make links than normal.
Yeah, and that's a very good point, right? The diligence and scouting around for proxies actually comes back to bite him. So this might be Maru kind of accounting for that, looking at some of Lambo's patterns and being like, oh, you don't send the Overlord to the other side? Let me just go ahead and get this little advantage. Lambo will bruise one of those Reapers and tag the other one with the Queen. Hasn't lost much at all so far. Maru will stop at 3.
Stop at 3 and start 2 extra barracks. Add-ons on these pre-existing barracks, which will probably go into stim packs. So we're gonna see very heavy marine play, some kind of maybe like a 2-base timing.
Oh, drone will go down.
Another drone. 1 link, 1 drone so far, so not a bad start.
Is Maru even... this is gonna be a stim combat shields timing without medevacs, right? Like, it's what it feels like to me at this point, at least.
Yeah, most likely. He starts another tech lab on the barracks, so that one is probably gonna be the combat shield researcher. Of course, he is still... he is gonna need a bit more gas to be able to research combat shields.
Drone. Okay, at least the Reaper might pay, does pay. The grenade is 1 second too late to save it. So on the side of Lambo, I think you want either Banelings already ready or Roaches, right? In order to hold something like this. Because if he gets caught off guard, I mean, a ton of Marines with combat shields and stim. No medevacs, but it's going to be so many units at a very unexpected, very weird timing here for Maru.
Yeah, and really Lambo has no idea. I mean, this is the furthest an Overlord has gone across the map for him. So he is going to have to wait until link speed is done to send a link across the map and finally be able to get some kind of information, because he's really in the blind here. I mean, for all he knows, there's the factory is done, Hellions are being pumped, and maybe there's a Banshee coming out. That's how blind he is. So gonna be really important to get some information with this Zergling.
I mean, this Zergling is just looking for the medevacs, for the Banshees to sneak out. It doesn't seem like a Zergling that's too concerned about a frontal attack. And yeah, I mean, pray that Maru crosses through the path of that Overlord, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna be the case. Lambo doesn't have anything, and these Marines are just out there to clear vision, right? Like they're out there to say, okay, the passage is safe. If we get scouted, it's gonna be 5 of us that get scouted, not the whole 15 or however many we have here. 19, 21 now Marines, with most of them already halfway across the map.
Yeah, and this is gonna be Lambo's cue to run in the Ling. Of course, Marines are already there to thwart this, but yeah, this is green light for Maru as his combat shields is just about to finish up.
Okay, there's a lot of Queens though from Lambo in a good position. The Lynx have to find positioning as well. Transfuse does go down at the last possible second. The Queen actually pulls on forward and baiting perhaps Maru a little bit further in, but where are the Zerglings here from Lambo? Another Transfuse goes down, and this has already done wonderful job from Maru. There's no more Transfuse available. This Lynx, I mean, it's just very few Lynx that would have to arrive here in order to clean this up while the Queens are going down. And barely, I think Lambo will finish cleaning it up, but not before losing each and every single Queen.
Lambo down to 1 single Queen. Of course, injects are not gonna be happening in 2 of these hatcheries for a while. I think that was worth it. I mean, every single Queen kill, that's gonna hamper the creep spread and the ejects so much. The only thing he has to be afraid of is a Link Flood or a Baneling bust. So I'm actually kind of surprised that he's just leaving the Marines on top, but really no fear, as he's already preparing his follow-up, which is going to be 2 medevacs and already tanks coming out.
Yeah,
Third
plus
base
1
is
as well.
on the way.
Plus 1 will be ready for this 2 medevac drop most likely. So a very cool layered approach here on the side of Maru, who is going to start moving out with these Marines. I agree with you. A Baneling counterattack could have done wonders, and Lambo's actually morphing some Banelings off to the side. Baneling speed won't be ready for the defense. And now that timing for something like a Baneling bust is kind of gone once the medevacs are out, once the tanks start pumping out. So let's see if Maru can accomplish something. Already clearing a little bit of creep and looking to reset the Queen count of Lambo yet again. Not happening.
Not a bad start. He did kill a couple of Marines there and does go for this tank. Pounces on it. He will loses his Banelings.
Oh no, Banelings. How much HP does that tank have?
A lot still, 175. It is still an extremely healthy tank. I don't think it got hit a single time. The Marines were just providing a wall for it.
Yeah, because I have HP bars on, and I agree with you. It looked as though as if he was going for the tank, so I was a little bit surprised that it didn't come to fruition there. The Banelings once again retreating at the front. That means just easy snipings for the tank, but the Queens are actually gonna manage to take it down. 2 banelings from behind trying to collapse onto the clump of Marines. Only 3 remaining. That is too easy for Maru to pick at if he wants to turn around and click him.
Maru is kind of playing this. He's played this like 2 base all-in would play out, you know, just rallying tanks, marines, and liberators across the map. But of course, he is landing his 3rd base behind this, so really relentless.
Ouch.
By Maru.
Ouch. Yeah, Lambo trying to turn a corner here to try to go for a little bit of surround. We'll finally find the tank isolated with the last remaining group of links that was back there. But the banelings have all fallen here at the front. All but 3. Again, too easy for a player of the caliber of Maru to just click on those if they come on running forward. And here they come. Maru is just going to choose to split instead a couple of Marines forward. And this looks all but over. It's so difficult to imagine that Lambo will be able to stabilize, especially with the Liberator and the tank here providing extra fire and siege.
Wow. That was so powerful by Maru. I mean, one of the ghosts just making it look easy against a European powerhouse. He was doing everything behind that. He went, first of all, Reaper aggression in the start, into Marine pressure, into going at 3cc while pressuring with Marine, tank, medevac, Liberator behind it. That build had everything, man. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end for Lambo, and he just wasn't able to keep up.
Yeah,
Really
short and sweet story
unfortunate.
too. I mean, it wasn't a particularly long game whatsoever. Just a really cool layered approach from Maru there, taking it. I mean, even the second attack, right? It's 2 medevacs. It has +1, etc. The tank gets in a very good position as well, right? Like well thought out, like where he's gonna go, where he's gonna plant his tank. Gets a lot of value from any flanks, but also protected by the rocks. And then Liberator arrives just to put the final touches there. And yeah, I mean, a little bit has to be said though. Lambo was the least prepared that you could be for a build like this. Like out of all things, like he wasn't accounting for something like this in his Overlord patterns. We often give Lambo so much credit because when you look at his map, he always has a perimeter. He always knows where stuff is coming from. But against this particular build, a little bit offbeat, he just didn't have an early enough heads up because the Overlords were all on his side of the map looking for proxies, like being diligent in ways that Maru was able to exploit just from the strategy choice before the game starts.
Indeed. But we are here loaded up into game number 2. Grace Van, Lambo fighting up 0-1 into the series. It is Shopify Rebellions, Julian Lambo Brosi.
And on top left-hand side, one of the GOATs, as you have called them, and also the favorite probably to go in to win this tournament going into it. It is for On-Site Gaming, Maru.
And Maru doing what Maru does best, which is basically just repeating builds that work for him, as he already sets up his 2 Rax Reaper build from his natural.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, the Reapers didn't do all that much, but again, Lambo with the same scouting pattern with the Overlord so far, right? There's no direct line into Maru's base, so I think, I don't know, like I haven't watched enough, I haven't been able to catch enough of Maru's games in this tournament to know if this is just a thing that he enjoys or if this is something that he is doing against Lambo, because when I look at the Overlord patterns for Lambo, it just seems like the perfect thing to do.
It's crazy. It's almost like he knew that Lambo would not be scouting his barracks with the Overlords, because
Right.
having the Overlords just above this pillar actually really helps, so you know you can see the add-ons on the barracks. So for example, if after 3 Reapers there goes the Tech Lab and the Reactor on these barracks, you can most assuredly know that there's going to be some kind of Marine stim pack timing right afterwards, because they're not going to swap into anything. And if they are, you're going to spot the factory and the low ground here, so
Yeah.
really
You also-
unfortunate for Lambo.
Yeah, you also spot like the Reapers making or not making, for example, right? So that's very important too. You see him stop at 3 Reapers, you don't have to overmake links, you can drone up a little bit safe. So Lambo is playing with less information is the problem here, and while you can still make the right choices with less information, you're gambling a little bit, right? Like it's you would stumble into the right choice or just with limited information make a good choice regardless. But it just feels bad. Like information is just so very important in StarCraft 2, and Lambo is, by virtue of trying to set up a perimeter, trying to gather information elsewhere, which usually is to his benefit, being exploited by a build that is so unusual on the side of Maru.
But already an adaptation being made here by Maru as he goes into factory instead. No add-ons on the barracks just yet. Just gonna make a couple of Marines to stop any kind of Overlord scouting. Good catch here on one Reaper. That is gonna minimize the damage.
Yeah, does get a link.
Those drums. But still worth it for Lambo. Very
sure.
good. As he sends one Overlord across, which is gonna get caught. Oh my god, Maru.
That's
You're
okay.
so annoying.
Yeah, but that's still, at least it's some information that Lambo gets to gather, right? Like, he knows the fact that the barracks is floating. He knows there's a reactor coming at the front, so very unlikely that there's any sort of steam timing like we saw in the previous game, and unless there was already 2 barracks with tech labs in the main, which seems rather unlikely at this stage. So maybe he can discard that.
I believe he can. He's a smart guy, and seeing those barracks already indicates that no stim pack is being researched on the barracks just yet. So I think that prompts him to kind of drone up and maybe even start a couple of spore crawlers for the whatever unit comes out of the starport in about a minute or so.
Yeah, nice try from Lambo there. Unfortunately, 1 hex away from being able to trap those Reapers on one side of the wall. However, the Reapers are just going to go down and suicide to the Queens. Should be easy pickings here on creep for the Lynx with speed. And yeah, it's going to be a Banshee follow-up from Maru. I like Lambo's position a lot better than I did in the previous game, right? Like, he kills all the Reapers. He has gathered more information via his Overlord. He more or less knows what the options are, and now he has map control, so he can do the Lambo thing. He can spread out his links, and he will probably see this Banshee coming from one of the 3 patrolling links. Make it 4.
Very good here. Patrolling these links. That's a Lambo classic. Just making all these big brain moves to make sure he spots any area units coming out of the main. Like we mentioned before, he does know that there's a factory and there's a starport because he didn't see any add-ons on those barracks.
Oh, careful.
So very, very smart. I don't think that Link spotted this Banshee though.
That is just so brilliant from Maru, right? Like, this move out looks like the move out in the previous game as well. If you think about it, right? In the previous game, similar timings. Maru moves out with some Marines at the front, concealing what's behind those Marines. Here he does the exact same thing and navigates the Banshee as far out into the map as possible before it gets spotted. So not much of a heads up from Lambo. Means that there's not going to be a spore ready here at the natural. Luckily for him, he does have a lair ready. He tried repositioning a spore from the main, but it's not going to be in time for him to avoid losing 3 workers already.
Does damage the Banshee a little bit, which helps with dealing with the next one that's popping out. They are gonna get together so they can one-shot drones. But still...
Oh, got him.
Actually huge. This is so big because 2 Banshees is so much more microable than 1 Banshee. Now there's really not much potential for Maru to kill drones anymore.
You gotta spend twice the amount of time. Yeah, and your opponent that gets a bigger heads up to react.
And it's a unit you want to keep around for the rest of the game because they also help deal with run-bys. So,
yeah,
good start for Lambo.
Very good start. The Banshee does get 2 more workers. Yeah, I wish that spore was 1 hex to the left. But it's looking very good for Lambo regardless. There is a little bit of creep spread just kicking out. Gotta be careful with these links though, not paying attention to them, and when you pay attention it's gonna be a little bit too late. He's already bled out a lot of them as Maru, I mean, coming from the fog as well. Unfortunate positioning of the circlings from Lambo.
That is unfortunate. He knows his push is coming, but there's still not much creep to deal with it, and the tank is gonna get into the most abusive spot possible right behind this cliff, making it very difficult for the Zerg units to get a wraparound on it.
Yeah,
he is still gonna try for the surround.
Yeah, Lambo's gonna go for it with the links in the back, circlings at the front, right? So the links can create a little bit of a chokehold for any Marines that choose to stay. Maru's gonna identify that could be the case, and before Lambo can set up to clear him, he is just gonna pick up and leave, and no man left behind apparently.
That is really so interesting. Just trying to be as cost effective as possible with the tank, even baiting here Lambo a little bit.
Wow.
And the choice of build here for Maru is going to be an 8-racks, of course. This is relatively all-in from the Terran. Sure, you have 2-2 on the way, but you don't have any tech buildings, you don't have any extra factories. Your 4th base is super delayed, but you do have that sheer marine number. I mean, the pure marine power in this push, coupled with a couple of tanks to focus down those banelings, actually is super scary for the Zerg player.
Yeah, that was such a cool maneuver from Maru, right? Like, really just breathtaking. I mean, he is set up, then he sees Lambo getting set up for a surround, and then just repositions, like you said, to try to be more cost efficient. So he's like, okay, yeah, you can come from that angle, but then I'll trade a little bit better than I would have otherwise before having to evacuate. And now this looks nasty from Maru here, sieging at the front. 3 tanks, 2 of them in very annoying positions. Lambo with a very nice wraparound here. So he's going to cut off reinforcements. That cuts the blood supply of this attack for Maru. And it buys Lambo time. Now he can just leverage the HP of his hatchery, and when he's ready to go, which should be any second now, he will go for it. 360 surround on the side of the German here. Those 4 banelings to the left-hand side are so vital, but they don't actually connect with everything regardless. It seems like maybe he has enough, but no. I mean, it's just 3 queens remaining, and once the attack starts on collapsing, Maru starts sending reinforcements, knowing that the back line of Lambo has, gone to the front to clear his army, and now Maru pushing in for the win. Doesn't look like Lambo has enough steam in him to stop this, Daiejo.
Lambo has run out of steam. He has a few more banelings warping in, but Maru, of course, is going to split like a god against it. As he crushes on through, there are no more links left for Lambo as he's forced to tap out. And Maru secures a win that might very well put him in first place of the group.
It probably does, I have to imagine. I mean, that last engagement was really interesting. It looked like Lambo had the full surround there. And it's not like Maru has the option to micro all that much from that position, right? Like, you're there. You got what you got. Lambo did a great job to cut off the blood supply. It's just, I think that those banelings on the left, there was only 3 of them. And the bigger clump of Marines was there. And they didn't really connect for the longest time. That's so much DPS that those Marines on the left-hand side managed to output as a result.
Indeed. It also doesn't help that there's really no counterattacks going on at the same time. Nothing to distract Maru from looking somewhere else, maybe messing up his splits mid-fight. So he could really focus on just like picking up his Marines with the medevacs and dropping them somewhere else in the fight. And just getting the most value out of his units, even when fully surrounded. So showing why he is the best Terran player in the world right now.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, again, that maneuver where he repositioned knowing that Lambo was getting the wraparound, like getting set up, that was just so beautiful. It's not something that you almost ever see, right? Because it's such an irrelevant position to take. You would never really put stuff there unless you know your opponent's coming for you soon. And you have to think on the fly, and you're holding a position that makes no sense to otherwise hold. But he trades beautifully in that position, just anticipating one step ahead, really, one step ahead of his opponent. And yeah, he's going to do it. I mean, in stellar fashion. So can we double check and just make sure that Maru is first?
He is. That's confirmed. And then Hero Marine and Beyond, of course, getting second and third in this group. It is a very interesting group because it's very clear who were the top 3 and who were the bottom 3, unlike in the other groups where there was a lot more contention for the 3rd place, at least in the groups. So yeah, just a very clear-cut group, and Gabe kind of showing that, hey, I'm a Korean Terran too, look at me, and really just snagging another playoff spot in a similar fashion to how he did it last year. So really looking like it wasn't a fluke last season at IEM Katowice.
Absolute beast, Gabriel.
Very good for him.
Yeah, amazing start for him, and I think that's gonna do it for us. Actually, Daiejo, is that right? Was that our last?
That was our last game over here at the C stream. So you guys will only be enjoying the main stream for now. I had a great time. I don't know about you guys, but I hope you enjoyed the cast. It was my first, I think, gig for casting. So I imagine there were probably quite a few mistakes on my end, but I feel like it wasn't too many to subtract from the feeling of having great games here at Katowice. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you guys very much for watching. That's going to be it for us. And yeah, moving on forward, like Diego said, is just going to be the mainstream. So thank you everyone for tuning in and for hanging out with us. And we will see you some other time.
See you some other time on my stream.
Intel Extreme Masters Katowice is brought to you by Blizzard Entertainment, Monster Energy, and Intel.
Do it in ranked.
Whoa! How? This dude is insane.
Do it on land.
Oh my god! I need this guy on my team.
Do it on stage. Do it all on an Intel Extreme Masters certified PC. Game like the pros.
Wear your passion. Share your passion. Wherever, whenever. Gaming is a lifestyle. Get your merch at shop.eslgaming.com.
All right. I'll talk to you later, Daiejo. Nice times.
Nice times, cats. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.
Catch-